Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Paladins Premier League. I am here with my good friend Gore.
Hi.
Well, welcome, you guys. Welcome, you guys. We're currently about to go into PK versus Kanga. PK, unfortunately, was down a man yesterday, Vapor being the one to sub for Ricotta, but Ricotta's back today, though.
And that's going to be crucial for them, right? I mean, it was one of those things, like I was talking to Cuss about it a little earlier. He was saying that even on his deathbed, he would bet that Ricotta would be a better DPS than he would. So having him back, obviously, it's important. Ricotta, even though the rest of the guys have been around the scene for a long time, is primary in-game leader from what we've talked about. I think they've said G-Bunny stepped up. Cuss has been a leader in the past, so it's not that big of a deal if he's missing in terms of communication, but it's really nice to have like the main voice come back for them, as well as just a tried and true DPS, right? Cuss was okay yesterday on Lex. Ricotta's going to blow things out of the water in comparison, right? It's just he's almost always been this consistently great player, and so having him back should just kind of elevate the entire squad.
Yeah, I agree. I really think that having a fully functional PK will be something really interesting to see, especially now after their loss against NIP. Like with 4-3.
Yeah.
It was a really, really close game. But now that they're back, I'm going to take a look at the standings real quick and show you guys what we have going on right now. NIP still in first. Na'Vi following up with a close second. Third is Envy, SSG, Virtus Pro, Kanga, PK, Renegade, so on and so forth.
And you're going to be looking at this one being kind of the 6 versus 7 matchup. And, you see the -6, the -26. There's 20 maps that do separate these two teams because of how deep that losses, I guess, were during Split 1. But it's really not indicative of what we're seeing out of these teams right now. I mean, Kanga, as they just choke. I mean, you look at it last week, like when you look at them versus Renegades, they were up 3-1. Then they were up 3-2. Like they were on the cusp of winning a set for so long, and they just couldn't close it out. They just have that difficulty getting over that edge, like when the nerves kind of kick on. And when you see NIP and Knights going 4-3, when you see VP getting 4-1 by the Knights, and yesterday, I mean, like even though they were down a guy, it's still looking pretty competitive against Na'Vi. Like you're starting to look at Kanga maybe having a little bit more sweat running down their backs.
Yeah, and one player that always comes to mind whenever it is I think of PK, especially like with two new additions, is Simsalute for sure. I always think about him as a player, him with his performance, one of the core damages for their team next to Ricotta.
And these two guys that you see on your screen, not only Simsalute, but Evil Eye on the other side for Kanga, this is probably going to be the most important matchup of this set. Is just how these two play, whether or not they're being impactful, and how much room they are either giving or taking away. Because Evil Eye is in this position, the flexibility that he's been able to show, it's been a little bit more leaning on Maeve lately, a little bit more leaning on some Willow we've seen, but his typical blaster pool has been cut down a little bit more. I mean, his Eevee's still always going to be solid, but it's not, okay, I can play Drogo's, Bomb King, Willow, and the Maeve, and the Eevee, and look fine on all 5. It's definitely felt a little more tricky, I would say, for him, whereas Simsalute, I still don't think I've seen him not necessarily have a performance. I mean, even his worst so far has just been an average game. We're going to have to see how that goes today. A lot of the pick and ban phase is probably going to be, it's not necessarily centered around these guys, but their picks are going to be crucial in terms of finding a victory in this set.
Yeah, and I mean, I always think about just in general, like, because PK, we saw the interview with Ricotta where he was talking about, like, like maybe they can end up being really, really pretty strong contenders just in general. But like give them like a month and a half and they'll be where it is they need to be. But already we're seeing pretty substantial progress from them just from PK, just with the addition of Simsalute and Zerini.
And that's the thing, like Zerini, and this is what I was saying when they announced that they were dropping Dethroner, when they announced they were dropping Payan, it was just like both of those guys have a ton of potential behind them. But the problem is that in the Premier League, you can't really work with the potential you have. You have to be there. Zerini's already there. Simsalute's already there. You get them, and it's an immediate improvement just because they already have that experience behind them. They're already ready to play, and as they've shown, they will absolutely take this team and continue pushing it further forward. I am excited to see where they end up.
Yeah, I'm excited for that as well. We're going to take a look at the map bans real quick and see what they have in store. Bright Marsh and Splitstone Quarry will be the first maps it is that we see for PK and Kanga respectively, followed by Frozen Guard, Ice Mines. That's pretty, for these two teams, I think that makes a lot of sense.
And honestly, when it comes down to it, actually, if I look over towards here, Ice Mines has been banned every single time by Kanga. Splitstone Quarry has been banned every single time by Kanga. Like they do not like these two maps. They don't like to go there. And admittedly, when you look at the way these maps flow, it's a little bit longer of a push. It's a little bit more like it. Both of them defensive heavy, but very, very crucial point fight. And admittedly, very difficult to kind of come in. And when you look at the Knights, they have both of those maps. Like, it's almost perfect for their strategy.
Right. And on the flip side of that, despite these bigger maps, the first map we will be starting on is Jaguar Falls. A very, very close quarters. More so, you're running into people almost every turn sort of map.
And honestly, this is not only, like you said, close quarters, but anything goes. I mean, I think this is one of the perfect maps to start out on because you can get your feet wet, right? You can just kind of dip your toes in, see the temperature of the water going in. It's the same place we started yesterday when they're going up against Na'Vi. Knights were able to win 4-0 with a sub against a team like Na'Vi. So now you're getting them full force. They're taking away a couple of the picks I think that were crucial, and Na'Vi's draft yesterday on Jag Falls was not the best when it comes down to it. I mean, they needed a little bit more perfect communication, and there was just a couple slip-ups. And Kanga, they're just not going to play that way. They're not going to draft that way either.
Yeah, but Kanga's starting off with the Cassie ban immediately for their first ban. Knights have already opted to ban out the Genos Torvald. It's what you'd more so expect. You don't see Genos as much as you see other, like, you'll see Genos taking priority over frontliners like Atlas, like Makoa. So depending on who Kanga bans, they're leaving open some pretty... Oh, they decided to go for the Leon, the Leon ban. Now tell me why that they would go for that. Obviously, it's a targeted ban, but who are they worried about? Is it Ricotta of all people?
Well, we're going to hit Ricotta twice.
Right.
And look what's open. Atlas comes through for the Knights, but that means Kanga is going to guaranteed get Makoa here unless they are doing something wrong. So he should be able to come through with literally whatever pick they want after that. Yeah. They've been favoring Ashe a lot lately, so they have that potential. But again, looking at Simsy, looking at Evil Eye, that's going to play a pretty big part in it, and Maeve is solid on this map.
Yeah, I can see that being the case too. Maeve has a lot of... With her movement comes the ability to position however it is that she feels like, when she feels like, and being able to take advantage of some of those like higher up spots around this map, despite how close quarters it is, will allow her to be able to position effectively. Nice is looking for the Lex pick though, which is something we've been seeing increase slowly in popularity over this PPL split.
Well, could also give them the father-son combo. I don't think there's actually a buff for having them both, but you wouldn't believe it looking at their icons. Lex is Atlas's dad, since Atlas came back from the future. And so it's just interesting to see this. I actually don't know if I've ever gotten to see them both on a single team.
Yeah.
But when you're looking at direct damage and being able to maybe trace Maeve down, both of those champions are going to have very big, meaty shots that can take her out of the sky pretty easily. Granted, this map, there's a lot of line of sight breaks, so Maeve's probably going to be a little bit more swirly, but the same thing goes for Lex. It's kind of matching mobility with mobility. Even though Lex doesn't have as much jump, he does still have a lot of like horizontal speed that can come in with his loadout.
Along with the fact that he has Death Hastens now, which is going to be so impactful in general against, I believe, their team, because he'll be able to maximize on that record, be able to blow up those shields really, really fast, really effectively. They go for the Furia Barrack on Kanga's side, followed by the final two picks of Willow and Maldamba. Now, we see Willow so much on this map, and after this recent patch, like, that makes a lot of sense, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, just watching what she was able to do yesterday, when you look at last week, if you watch the minor league, Willow, with her ult movement changes, can now not only chase people into buildings, but can maneuver those buildings just as well as if she was running on the ground, right? And that has made a significant difference in how you can play around with her ult. There's not really a safe place to run away. Used to be, okay, you hear Willow ult, just get indoors. Just do whatever you can to find cover over your head, and 9 times out of 10, that saved you. Now, it's not as safe.
Yeah, they decided to lock Drogos as the last character for Kanga. I mean, it makes sense as well. We do see Drogos picked a lot on this map as well as one of the blasters for not necessarily Kanga, but any team that decides to opt for him. Now, I would imagine that's because of, like, he can actually maneuver around the cover a lot in the high ground. There are a lot of tall buildings. The
biggest question I have is, if he goes Worm Jets, is he ready for the assault that's going to come through him? Because Atlas and Lex are probably going to be on dragon hunting duty for this game, so I'm curious as to what talent he really is going to try to play around with.
Well, with both teams locked in, we're going to throw it right down to your casters, and we're going to get this game started.
Appreciate it, fellas. Welcome down into the caster booth for game one of the day. I'm Dolson, of course, joined by Kresnik. on the cast for you today. Fun matchup, fun lineups already. I mean, you get one kind of off tank, and that opens up Makoa, Atlas, no con though.
Yeah, no, just completely ignored. They had the best off tanks. You know, you
Sure.
really, if you can get off tank, point tank on a map where there's so many corners, place you can play around, and the point objective control is so strong,
Right.
you don't need him. I mean, he sometimes he'll go by when those really strong off tanks like Koa and Atlas just get through.
And with Coach Vapor walking by, he's been benched, unfortunately, today. Looks like Ricotta's back in the driver's seat on the direct damage role over there for the Knights. Obviously a little sick yesterday. Maybe that comes into play here today, but that was a big hinge. I mean, losing Ricotta, that's a big difference maker in a matchup like that, and now maybe a slightly sick Ricotta, that's another difference maker. But I think it gives him a better chance up against Kanga.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully for the Knights, Ricotta kind of backed off a little bit from that in-game leading role. Talks a little less than he used to, so he can kind of just focus all his energy onto doing damage. Watching Bully right now, though, trying to avoid the hit scan pressure from Atlas and Lex. I mentioned before the father-son duo on Dragon Hunting Summer
baffles.
Trip. He's the
I'm-
man out of time.
No, right. I mean, I'm so far out of the lore game that that one was very surprising. Ricotta starting off early here. Nice double kill on the Lex, wrapping around the backside. Evil Eye taking a couple too many plague shots. One more is all Ricotta needs. He's 3 for 3 to start off this game. And it looks like Gara on the backside here for Kang is going to be the last to fall. 51% for the Knights on the back of some strong play from the Lex.
Yeah, I'm not sure with that staggered kill in the Fury if Kanga's going to be able to touch. They have pretty good forward zoning. Hook doesn't find its target. Since Rhino dashed backwards, I think that means Kanga's already kind of conceding it. Barrett might go in, but I feel like that's not going to make anything happen. The Drogo's, he's really easy to ignore on this map, I feel.
Sure.
There's so many tight little rooms you can play inside. The Knights with their Willow, they want to play Simsi on that bridge, so that does, you know, the Drogo's does buy that space for Kanga, where Simsi won't be able to do that comfortably. But still, the Drogos, they could just play inside, rotate to point, back up, and have the Lex focus him. I mean, they have the counters to deal with it. I do find that last pick by Kanga.
And you already see the impact of having Ricotta back in this one. I thought Cuss Cutie did bad yesterday on the Lex.
Cuss Lex Jaguar
I was going to
falls.
say,
I mean,
right, that was their 4-0. That was their 4-0 yesterday, so nothing against that, but you can already see the flashy plays from Ricotta coming back here. Gets Knights on the board first here with an Inflame. Kanga are going to try to start off this defense on the right foot. You got to find a way to get G-Bunny uncomfortable on this Atlas because he is so strong on those off tanks. Finally, some respite for Kanga here. They find themselves a good defensive stand with about 1 minute and 35 seconds left. A couple ultimates as well if they really want to push this one. G-Bunny sitting at 4-2, 4-0 for Ricotta. Simsalou a quiet 0-1-4 though. Joel's kind of the saving grace seemingly for Kanga right now.
Yeah, Barrack's really to define those confirmed kills. Just being able to clean up on the damage since they don't really have a great diver. I mean, Maeve's better at poking than diving. She can do it, but if you have someone else like a tank that can find those confirms, that's a lot more ideal. Chronic's hitting solid daggers onto Simsi, even through that DR does not matter with that Cat Burglar boost.
That's right.
Really good aggressive defense. I liked the Inflame to kind of flip the tide. They're already at 50%, so no real downside in their economy by using it that early.
No, if nothing else, it'll be back up for the next mid-fight. If this one truly lasts just another 55 seconds. Pittsburgh Knights with a bit of a downhill struggle. That's an execute from Mikata onto Rhino. That's going to buy them a lot of space. No more Makoa clogging up the lanes there in the front line. They just needed some other kills anywhere to start falling in their favor, but it doesn't look like it's going to with Jules and Gara answering back with a couple of their own.
Yeah, the Drogos, this is where he's going to be free reigning. I mean, we talked about how easy it is to dodge him on mid, but these are big open fields. He's just going to be raining down from the start. Kind of uncontested. You can see Ricotta's focus trying to take care of him in that fight, almost ignoring the tanks in front of him. Rhino getting set back to here. Surf 5, going to bring him back quite a ways. Simsalou finds the kill. Knights finally find a footing on this defense after the aggressive defense from Kanga, but they don't have a lot of time. Overtime's going to start ticking away real soon.
5 seconds left. That's a tall task for Evil Eye, especially. I mean, if you want to compare apples to apples, the two blaster players, I should say, with Evil Eye kind of matching up against Simsalou. That was the pregame matchup we looked at. That's a big, tall task. You got to keep up with one of the I guess technically new, but arguably one of the better blaster players in this league in the form of Simsalou. Joel's dropping Ricotta is going to spell nothing but success, I think, for Kanga here on their defensive stand, unless Simsalou's able to trade out, which he's not. So good defense here from Kanga. Honestly, on the back of that Enflame early on, set them up for success here.
Yeah, that Inflame basically bought them 1 minute and after just that one ultimate ball from that. And now both teams, well, Kanga with 5 ultimates. Knights did commit the Fey Flight for that. They used the Law a little bit earlier. Not quite going to get there yet, but Lex does enough damage where that'll charge pretty quickly.
Sure.
But Kanga do have this ultimate advantage, but I just think their composition is worse on these mid fights. I think the Knights have a lot of ways to deal with the bully on these mids. I think they have the better point tank. They have the better pocket healer. Kanga's going to have to find a really solid execute with their ultimates to be able to break that stalwart sustain that the Knights bring.
Well, unfortunately, you have to win at least a mid fight.
Yes.
To win the game, and Kanga figuring themselves out again on defense. I think the stats tend to get a little bit more padded in your favor when you're sort of on the defensive end, because the other team's just kind of throwing themselves at you. Joel's keeping up his damage here just behind Evil Eye in this game. Chronix as well on the Maeve, hitting some great daggers up to this point. It's how they use their ultimates now. The Kanga, excuse me, 5 strong. The Knights used a little bit to try to force that one through. The Midnight, though, is going to start things off for Kanga, following up into the Inflame as well. Dragon Punch from Evil Eye drops off Zerini. Can Chronix hit the daggers? Oh, that's a good Dread Serpent. Gets the Maeve out of the air, makes them back off. The Knights only lose 1, and Kanga used so much there. Simsalou does drop on the back end of the fight, but Kanga used everything and only got a couple kills.
Great rockets by Avoli to get that confirmed on Simsalou, but Rakata does find the hole. Almost a lot of ultimates used to start that by Kanga. This is going to get deleted. Both shields taken down by the Law. What a new feature that a lot of players honestly didn't even know about when that patch came out. Rakata still pressuring here on the side. Trading onto Zarina, though. That's a lot of point presence out of here for the Knights. Can he disengage? Not if Rhino has anything to say about it, but he's still kiting away. The Lexi can't hit him.
Yeah, look out for the Ancient Rage. Comes tearing right down Main Street. Rakata's able to back off, but a good hook onto G-Bunny. Pulls in the Atlas, and at 90% now for Kanga. The early kind of slow roll, the slow burn from those ultimates, only netting a couple of kills that set themselves up. Good positioning from Kanga throughout the rest of that fight for point number 2.
Yeah, Zarini's unfortunate pick, getting picked off right after that dome shot. That was really hard for the Knights to retake. I think they just didn't have the ability to contest on the point. That's Atlas's biggest weakness, I think, objective control. Because once his cooldowns are down, he's just a sitting duck, as you see right there, with Chronix finding that confirm onto him. I loved the start of that mid by Kanga.
Yep.
That was such a good aggressive start. I mean, Inflame into a Midnight, that is, if they're not ready, if they're not all the way back in their base, that's a one fight almost every time.
Right. I mean, you can't see, and then also you know that they're going to be sprinting at you.
2 luminary marks on the entire team. They're moving at 30% movement speed bonus, and it's so much overwhelming pressure.
A little nervous when I hear all that coming out. Chronix as well. That's another Inflame, actually. Kanga has not let off the gas since winning that mid fight. A double kill from G-Bunny. Going to stall things out just a little bit, but a double kill from Joel's as well actually keeps the payload moving forward. He has to use Dread Serpent. So the Knights now having to use everything just to try to stay alive. Good shot there from Stimpsy onto Evil Eye. Mid-air shots from the Willow. Rakata, luckily, is able to drop off Joel, so Kanga forced back. But did get a little close there towards the end.
Yeah, Simsalou's triple air shot on Avoli, honestly, was what turned that fight, I think. Because Avoli was allowed to keep free firing. Not everyone on Knights could deal with him. He had a lot of cover to play, so good on Simsy for getting that flip. Knights with the defensive advantage. The respawns definitely helped them stabilize there. Simsy just looking for some spam here. They had to use Dread Serpent. Actually, no, I didn't realize the Dread Serpent went off.
Yeah.
I thought he died before he got it off, so they don't have Dread Serpent, Seismic Crash, or Fey Flight. If Kanga want to use an ultimate to convert this, and it looks like they will, they're going to have an econ advantage going into the next fight, too.
Chronix hitting a couple daggers. This is an important 1v1. Is he able to get Rakata? Does Rakata turn around the kill? The Lex is going to get the better of Maeve this time around, and now he's just free to fire in the back line. Joel's drops. They only use the Midnight. They're able to pull back 1 kill, but Simsalou hitting some great shots yet again. That's a double kill for the Willow, and Kanga yet again thwarted at the doorstep.
Yeah, Midnight used their pretty fast charging ultimate, though. They're only using these global ultimates to do the fights, right? Last fight, just the Inflame. This fight, just the Midnight. They don't want to use these like single target with the Ancient Rage where you can swing on one person, Dragon Punch. They don't want to use those. They want to save those for mid where they feel like it's going to be more impactful, where they can take out a very specific target, whoever they think the problem is going to be going into that fight.
Well, you're going to have the Inflame. 33% on the Midnight. That won't be ready just as of yet. So Kanga will have 4 ultimates in their back pocket. Only 2 for the Knights to try to defend here. G-Bunny with the first kill onto Rhino. Chronix able to swap things back. you got to be able to find a way to deal with Evil Eye, who's flying up so high, doing so much damage in all these fights. G-Bunny as well falls. Chronic's dancing around, finding the shots. Ricotta, he's gone. Zerini now almost the last line of defense here. If he ends up going down, this one could go in. The respawns for the Knights will be coming out, maybe just in time though, but the staggers maybe just too deep.
The fight started looking good for the Knights, but they just ignored a Bully and he spammed down. You cannot ignore a Drogoz. You have 2 counters to it. Knights want to use ultimates to keep this even. Double exile on the cart, but now they can't shoot the things on the cart. That's free cap time for them. Setback blocked by the shield. Spit coming in. Bunny's going to go down here. No cooldowns. No tanks alive. Kanga take it to a 3-1.
Oh my, what a well-calculated fight from Kanga that time around. I mean, it looks just for a moment like the Knights are maybe going to be able to stall things out, but Kanga just so persistent. They just honestly annoying. If I'm the Knights, they will not go away. Evil Eye, a tough start to this game, but really made use of Drogoz, the entire kit here. I believe this is a double fire spit, now almost, and then the follow-up rocket nearly connecting onto Simsalo. 3 streaked out members for Kanga though. 3 top damage in the game. The Knights back against the wall.
I love Kanga's economy. Yep. Kanga has all 5 ultimates after that. They didn't use a single one, and Knights even used their exile. They even exiled 3 targets kind of wildly on the point. They need to calm down. I think they're panicking a little bit on these defenses. You know, they really want it to be 2-2, but exile's not really a hold a last fight kind of ultimate.
I think it all comes down to who's able to swing first here. If Kanga find the most value of their ultimates early on here, and they're going to try to start it off. Midnight in Flame, that was a potent combination last time around. Evil Eye already drops off Ricotta, and here comes a Dragon Punch. You might get another kill, a Slither, just to get out of the way, but he finds death nonetheless. Cuts Cutie back to base. The Knights are swept, and Kanga are zoning for the win.
Yeah, Simslu wasn't able to touch the point there, so even more cap time going towards Kanga. Kanga have to find the dismounts here. You can see, I believe that's Ricotta. They're on the mount on the right. They're not looking at him, though. They need to zone that face side. It looks like they do. It's also really low, so we can't even refight this. Bunny dismounted too. They can body block him and actually stop this, but the setback stops that from happening. Can the damage come in to kill Bunny in time? No. He gets out. Simslu actually, though, way overextended, diving in over the bridge, gets picked off. That's a lot of zone control taken out for the Knights here. Both tanks out of it. Neither can touch the point.
It looks like that's going to have to do it. The Knights throwing everything they can, but it's all coming up just short. And Kanga convincing after a slow start in the form of, I guess, 1-0 down. That defense turned the tide in this one. They win 4-1 on Jaguar Falls, a map that the Knights won 4-0 yesterday up against Na'Vi. Looks like Kanga came to play.
That was the Knights' pick too as well.
True.
Right.
They lost all of their map picks yesterday.
Oh,
so.
That's not a good sign.
Yeah, I don't know.
But still, Kanga figured him out really well. I liked the concept of how Knights started that draft, where I think they thought Rhino's a better Atlas than a Koa, so they just took the Atlas from him. I mean, Rhino's a premier Atlas, but it's premier Makoa too. I mean, he's really put his foot down as one of the better off tanks in this league, and I think he made a lot of room. But I mean, the stories of Voli, like, you can counter the Drogoz, but he just wasn't countered. He sung his song the whole time straight from the sky.
He was free flying the entire game. I mean, the Blaster matchup went the way of Kanga this time around. The frontline matchup even, I mean, G-Bunny Rhino is a matchup I think to put a microscope on as we move through this set. I mean, both guys on champions that are oftentimes banned out. Normally, maybe it's an Ashe, maybe it's a Barrack for one or the other, Khan sometimes, but both getting one of those premier off tanks. And this time, I think Rhino won the day. A quiet game. I mean, like you said, I think Evil Eye really kind of won it. Really started to flex his muscles this time around. But Kanga, they find the win. Game 2, right after this.
Respawn, the official gaming chair of the Paladins Premier League.
I don't know why, I just felt like right when we started, I was just like...
Welcome back, guys. After that brief break right there, Kanga taking the first map and first game against PK.
Yeah.
Just really good for them.
And convincing, I would say, as well. Like, that was the thing I think that they were missing. Although, I mean, I'd have to look back at it, and it's, not too far behind. But, I mean, when they were going up against Renegades very early on, it was still looking kind of like they were in control. It was 4-2s instead of 4-1s. But it's still like, okay, you guys know what you're doing. This was that game for them where it's just like, all right, we know you know how to play. You just have to be able to keep this up to get 4 wins, right? That was the problem when they played Renegades last week. It wasn't necessarily as much of the problem when they were playing Envy. I think Envy, they were having to still deal with the fact that they had a pretty rough loss.
Yeah.
So now looking towards Kanga to keep up this performance, 106,000 damage from Evil Eye.
Yeah, that's one of the players it was that I wanted to keep my eye on, and I kept my eye on throughout the game as it progressed. Unfortunately, Zarini with a 1-12. That's
not what you want to see out of your Nara.
Yeah, that's definitely unfortunate. And I think part of the reason for that was because of, look at the flip side. Look at Evil Eye, look at Joel's, the both of them. Super, super strong players, both of them 14-6.
Yeah, and that's actually, I think, the biggest thing. So Evil Eye was a lot bigger, from this round forward, right? This is the beginning of round 2, and he moved from round 2 to round 3 flawlessly. It was really, really good play, and it was really just there became too many targets on the side of Kanga to focus on. Joel's was commanding attention, and it's really his first round performance. I mean, his 14-6, I think, started there at the very beginning of the game that kept Kanga alive to let Evil Eye get to this point, where at that point you have to worry about Makoa, you have to worry about Barrick, you have to worry about Drogos.
Right.
There's too many people just in those 3 to look at that it was so difficult to commit having Lex and Atlas, 2 of your strong champions here, focus only the Dragon, who at this point is getting away.
Yeah, and you mentioned it before. You try and deal with the Drogos. You put all of your effort onto trying to kill him, that you don't take a look at Joel's. You don't pay attention to the Bear. You don't pay attention to the Maeve. And you saw that Joel's also went 14-6. He was an equal threat as well, with Evil Eye picking up the damage at 106,000, which is what we saw. But you got to give credit to Barry. Got to give credit where credit's due.
And I think that's the biggest thing. Barrick has been incredibly big for Kanga. I mean, he's been picked quite a few times, including that game. It would be 8. And surprisingly enough, he's just got a 50-50 out of split 2, right? Not winning every game that they pick him with, not losing every game. He's just been standard, but they like to gravitate towards him. The thing that kind of catches me off guard is that there was no Ashe, right?
Right.
But at the same time, it makes a little more sense when you factor in, Atlas and Makoa being open and available. Both of these teams don't really need Ashe to fill that role. They don't need Khan to fill those roles. And so you see these otherwise high priority front lines just completely disappear.
Well, the second map is Serpent Beach. Kanga is up 1 game. We'll have to see if Knights can actually try and bring it back. First 2 bans starting off with Cassie and Atlas. Once again, Cassie we talked about a little bit before, just as game 1 was starting, about how this is more so a targeted ban towards Ricotta. They don't want him to be on his comfort picks. For them to actually ban not only Cassie but Leon the first game just shows how much pressure Ricotta can exude.
And I also this has actually been one of the bans Kanga has been racking up a little bit more. I mean, including the last game and this game, she's been banned 6 times by them. I mean, they're not rivaling Navi's pick numbers for Cassie, considering they try to play her every single game. But it's just one of those things, we've been talking about it, and Kanga's approach, I think, is the perfect way. They're not changing every ban they're going for every game,
right?
But it's not always front lines with them. They do come in with the Cassie ban because they recognize the potential she has, and actually how good not only she is for Ricotta, but I think just in general, what she brings to the game, because Chronix can play her just as well. It's just one of those things that she's so good at doing damage and getting away with it and being able to find those solo matches that you just might as well get rid of her and force them to go a little deeper in their pocket.
Genos Barrick. This is a combo we see quite often, not just on the side of PK, but that Luminary buff from Genos can make Barrick into a sort of scary person to be fighting against. He already does sneaky damage as he is already, with tinkering, with being able to pump out some of that extra damage. But with Genos Luminary buff, it's a lot harder for them to actually try and contest point.
Yeah, Knights, they win a pretty hefty amount when they have Genos on their side. It just enables, again, when you're looking at it as enabling Simsalou to do more damage, enabling Ricotta to do more damage, it's that much scarier. But Barrick is also in that same vein. Again, a lot of teams prioritize these Barrick and Inara. They're probably the most picked, followed by Ashe, maybe Khan in there. And when you look at what Barrick can do when on his own, last game's a good example, the 14-6 and 14 that he was able to accomplish. Then you add in, I guess some of those times he had Inflame, but you give him a Luminary boost, all of a sudden his win rate, his damage, his control of the game should just go up with it.
Right, yeah. That's so such a powerful ultimate Inflame is, because like as Dolson likes to put it, he's like, it's literally just a go button. Once that Inflame just pops off, then you immediately just start rushing in. Just the boosted damage, just everything about that can be for such a hard engage. And speaking of that, we have Inara, but this time, you mentioned it before, Gore, you didn't see Ashe. Now they're picking it on Serpent Beach.
And it just makes sense. It's one of those things, Kanga, first off, they just love Ashe more than they love Khan, even though he's available. But then when it comes down to it, Barrack Ashe are really, really good with Genos. They're really, really good on Serpent Beach in terms of their control. And, I mean, Atlas, Makoa, Torvald are all banned. You don't have anybody that takes precedence over them. So not too surprising to see them go for it. What will be a little more surprising for me is to see what healer they go for. They've been favoring a lot of Furia lately on Kanga.
Yeah, would you happen to know why that is, or is it just, does it just fit their composition, just their play style? Like, are they going for it because of their comp, or are they going for it because of how they play?
Well, a little bit of both, right?
Okay,
it's just one of those things. Like Maldamba, he's still one of the best healers and best in control. But when you stack up, Resilience works against Midnight, against Seismic Crash, against Assert Dominance. That's 3 ults already that you're going to have that are affected by the CC reduction.
Yeah.
So you grab Furia because not only does she not have the CC in her ult, but you're getting Inflame. You're getting damage reduction. So it's like a double whammy to really facilitate their playstyle and kind of make the Knights have to determine 3 different item options right at the very beginning of the game.
Right. They decide to lock in Eevee finally for PK. Both teams are already picked in terms of, like, both compositions are already ready. They've already picked the characters they want to go for. They're sticking Chronix probably on the Maeve again. They're sticking with the Drogos once again on Serpent Beach. I mean, this is like, Kanga's like sticking to their guns. You made a good point too. Like, they don't really change up their bans at all. They don't really change or try and go for a different route if something's already working.
I am really intrigued. I mean, Maeve Drogos kind of countered out a little bit by Leon, so that's going to be a matchup to watch.
Yeah, it will be. However, we're going to take it right down and give it to the casters to see what they think.
Game 2 about to get underway here on Serpent Beach. Kanga, about as convincing as you can hope. Maybe 4-0 is a little bit more convincing, but you'll take a 4-1, game 1 of the day. Very similar composition. You don't get Makoa this time, but you get Furia, you get Maeve, and you get Drogos. That was the core triangle of champions for Kanga last time, and it's another map where it can work, I think.
Yeah, I think the story for Kanga is going to have to be on Rhino here, honestly, because yes, Gore mentioned it that like Leon kind of counters Maeve and Drogos, but Leon can't deal with them if she's just getting shot at by an Ashe. You know, it really, if Rhino gets in their face, that's going to kind of just determine the pace of this matchup and what the Knights can get away with in terms of countering them. Salvo already lined up looking for some dismounts early. Ricotta, I mean, unpressured now, but we have quite a bit of mid to go.
You don't, I mean, and the Knights as well, they don't have a lineup that you can scoff at. I mean, at all.
Yeah.
You have Genos with a Leon, an Eevee, a Barrack, and a Khan. I mean, that is a star-studded lineup. If it weren't, honestly, for the way Kanga performed in the last game in this very similar composition, you know, this looks a lot more even, but Kanga obviously has something figured out with the way this draft goes. Early high ground fights going up here on the right-hand side of the map. It looks like G-Bunny and I believe it's Ricotta on the Leon. Kind of winning this early, but Evil Eye with some good poke. Maybe turning the tides here is Rhino. This is where he gets aggressive. You said this is how you might need to stop Ricotta from running wild. Just get into his face. That's exactly what Rhino's doing.
Yeah, a bit of a split there between Bunny and Ricotta too. Bunny got really deep, so Ricotta couldn't follow up on him. They've only got free fire, forced Bunny back. Still though, even trade, Ricotta does find Rhino, which is definitely not what Kanga wants. Gera following suit. Things not looking too good for Kanga here, but they do find a kill on the side. Both DPSs teaming up to take down G-Bunny. Cap time coming only from the flank, but I guess it doesn't matter if no one can shoot down at the point.
Simslu's had a great start up to now. Didn't maybe only once or twice get his name actually in that kill column, but he was doing so much damage, notably when Rhino was getting aggressive onto Ricotta. Simslu just started blast shotting over and over and over again, forces the Ashe back, and it sets up the Knights there for point number 1 here on this map. So well played from them. I mean, we see some of those early cracks that might show when you pick a lineup like the Knights have. Ricotta's had a good start. Simslu has as well.
Yeah, I think they stalled out Rhino really effectively there because Rhino saw that Bunny was pressuring. So Ricotta stayed back to bait. I thought it was like a split-up mistake at first, but once Bunny disengaged, Rhino thought this is my time, and then he got stuck in that waterfall area. Simslu came back to pinch. Really great setup by them because once Rhino was gone, Ricotta just free fires. And in this position here or on mid, any high ground, Ricotta free firing is dangerous. Already 8,000 damage ahead of his flank counterpart. And
this is what you're missing when Ricotta is not playing for you. 4-0-2, 3-0-3 the damage dealers for the Knights, setting this game up for nothing but success here. The Midnight, though, from Kanga is going to try to stall things out. Simslu, within an inch of his life, is able to get back. He's into the ice block down there on the low ground. Not actually going to drop him off just as of yet. Cuskudi positioning himself so well here. Get out those heals, can break line of sight, of course, and Rakata actually through the Midnight, through the onslaught that Kanga were beginning to throw. The Knights are the ones who come out with the 2-1 advantage. This payload's very close to going in. A double kill for Simslu might just seal this up.
Yeah, Kanga's health was so bad there. They couldn't re-heal anybody because of Furious single target. Midnight and a Dragon Punch didn't find anybody either, so 2 ults. Ivoli got baited in and got picked later. Joel's is staying on the cart behind his wall. It's not going to last too long. He has the R after and Seismic Crash. They want to defend this. Enlightenment and Dome Shield to counter. He has to get into the Dome Shield. Cannot. Gets picked off by Chronix. Pick advantage now, even after Simsaloo finds Joel's, but Chronix is going to die on the cart. No DR is going to save you there.
That's a double kill from Simsy as well, keeping Pittsburgh on the front foot here. Guerra trades one back, just keeps things somewhat even, but you have to find a way to deal with this Eevee, and they haven't done it just yet. Simsaloo with another kill in this one. Health so low, health all the way back up. Great healing from Cuskudi on their side. Another Ice Storm in this fight as well. That gets him a double. Rakata with a double as well. It's all down to Jolt. He's back there contesting a triple kill, seals it, and what a fight from the Knights.
Wow, shoutouts to the Kanga for padding Knights' stats.
Wow.
I cannot even fathom what Knights' stats are going to be going into this mid after all those DPS cleanups and damage done there. Basically 2 full team wipes just to defend that.
Yeah, good lord. I mean, I think that I'll make this point after this replay, but Simsaloo's had such an immediate impact on this game. Wasn't able to get super comfortable in the last one on the Willow. But double kills, triple kills, seemingly every fight. 14 streak, 9-0-5, 9-1-4, 0-0-13. I'll run down the entire list for if you want. But the Knights off to a roaring start. I was gonna ask. I don't know the rules behind all of this. I wonder if you can defer map pick and let the other team just pick over and over, because the Knights just cannot win on their own maps.
Well, this is Kanga's pick.
Right, that's what I mean. They can only win on other teams' map picks, apparently.
I mean, they could choose second pick if that's what they want. Maybe they just like having Simsaloo getting that counter pick. Maybe that's just the key for them here. Looks like a slower start to them, though. Simsaloo trying to trade onto the side. Does not find the kill on Chronix, but forces a couple cooldowns out. Ooh, good connections by Simsy.
Oh, wow!
Oh, I thought he was going to get that, but it does force a volley out. That's still very impactful for the Knights.
Yeah, he has to back off of this one. He has 0 health remaining. Chronix with the only kill. Ultimate starting to come out. Down comes the Assert Dominance as well. The overpower onto Guerra eliminates the healing for Kanga for another 10-15 seconds, but Chronix is still alive, dancing around. Evil Eye as well, and it looks like they forced the Knights back. If Rakata can turn around some kills, this gets interesting, but he has a large task ahead of him. Down onto the point, and the Knights is stabilized.
Yeah, Rakata's looking here for a volley. Knows he's low, but he's going to get his passive heal up top. Joel's actually rotating over to the... Oh, that is their high ground. Okay, so Joel's setting up in a more defensive position, wanting to get ready to touch. Ivoli, though, they found him. He Dragon Punch. He punches up top to live, plus the Midnight. Knights don't know where he's going to come from, but they still catch him.
Oh
he doesn't get a pick, even though everybody on the team was blind. Chronix wants to trade this out, manages to, but still, that's a lot of ultimates for this. I don't know if they have the economy to keep this fight going. Point control's still going either way. It's still contested in the middle.
Chronix versus Simsaloo comes up the way of Simsy. This time around, the Eevee wins that one. G-Bunny as well back into the fight. And it looks like the Knights are going to be able to retake this point. Kanga will have maybe just a brief moment to try to get in there and get a touch. That's a good trade back from Evil Eye. But it looks like the Knights have stalled this one out at 99% for Kanga. The Knights are going to get point number 3.
Wow, Simsaloo crazy with these mid-air. Just these air shots are so consistent, I think. Like, you think, all right, they have a Drokos. All right, the counter's going to be the Leon. And then if you're getting hit with an Eevee across the map, I mean, that's just, the whole point of Drokos is, all right, they won't hit me.
Right.
I'll be so far away, I'll be so hard to hit, they won't hit me. And if you're confirming those constantly, I mean, that's really going to negate the effectiveness. Something that Knights, I'm sure, wish they were doing last round. Fully still here on the side, poking from above the Oasis. Interesting little angle you can take. You can use that as a flanker or as any mobile DPS. Inflame coming in, though. I think Kanga want to get an aggressive defense here.
Yeah, the Inflame has not found the same value that it did on Jaguar Falls last time around. They loved that Inflame Midnight combination. Inflame fizzles out this time with nothing really to show for it. Maybe just some positional advantage. Finally getting a kill as Evil Eye immediately turned around by guess who? Rakata on the Leon. Having a huge game, making a double, maybe even a triple here. Zarini's going to take that one away. And now the last 2 members of Kanga are so caught out. Such an awkward spot for them. Shortly to fall. and Ricotta's having himself a game.
Yeah, Ricotta getting this free positioning up here. They're going to also stagger Gera really hard. Now there's no heals for this last fight, plus Ultimate's online for the Knights through time and space enlightenment. Dome Shield comes in first to keep things confirmed. Joel stays into the corner. Actually, Custom misses the through time and space onto Joel's, but he's going to burn before that seismic crash gets off. I think the stun came out, but it doesn't matter. Assert dominance on the point. Dragon Punch. Kanga using a ton of ultimates here, but every pick is still going the Knights' way.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, down you go, and the Assert dominance wears out. That's going to do it. Whew. The Knights have a thing for 4-0s and then 4-1s, I guess. Whether it's them winning or losing, they tie it up here. They win game 2 on Kanga's map pick. And now it goes back to Kanga.
Yeah, so the Knights win the series.
Are happy. The Knights are happy now because Kanga have to pick a map.
Yeah, and then Kanga will pick and the Knights will win, right?
And then
Kanga will pick and Knights will win.
They're going to turn it around.
So yeah, the Knights should be feeling really good. Ricotta looking a little bit rejuvenated, I think. He still looked good in that first game, but I mean, got to be feeling better, I think, after moments like that.
For a guy who was, tired, sick, out yesterday, whatever it may have been, certainly not playing that way today. Triple kills, big kills, multi-kills, all across the board. Kills, damage, that's all that needs to be said about Ricotta this game. Big game for him to come back into it and set the Knights up for success.
Yeah, I think Kanga just put too much on Rhino and Evoli. Like, they said, all right, Rhino, once he shuts down the Leon, Evoli, you can do whatever you want.
Right.
And the Knights were like, well, just protect our Leon. Just don't let Rhino get into our Leon. And then, Ricotta just free-firing. Basically uncontested. Rhino did what he could. The assert dominances were good, I think, but it just wasn't enough to stem the tide.
Well, now Kanga need to go back to the drawing board. Similar draft to game 1. I said if it isn't broken, don't fix it. Well, it's a little broken now, so maybe need to change something up for game 3, which is coming up right after this.
The Paladins Premier League is brought to you by Evil Mojo, developers of Paladins.
Welcome back, guys, to the Paladins Premier League. We currently just saw a game on Serpent Beach. PK, Pittsburgh Knights, versus their counterparts, Kanga. And they actually did really, really well.
Yeah, I mean, a 4-0. But it's about as best as you can get when it comes down to it. And it's just, it was control. It was a lot more of what I expected, honestly. Like, I expected this to be, especially with Ricotta, even feeling a little sick, to be a lot more dominant from the Knights. And game 1, I was missing that. It didn't show up at all. Game 2, they gave it to me in full force.
Yeah, exactly. If there was ever a reason why you were curious last game as to why they were banning Leon with the Cassie, this game is a testament to that. Take a look at the post game here. 79,000 damage on Ricotta, the most damage in the game, actually.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. I mean, Ricotta, it was a good return to form for him, right?
Yeah.
It's actually, looking at Lex from last game, it kind of felt awkward, like seeing how I want to say maybe a little impact he had, but 15-2-9. Also honorable shout outs there to Simsalou at 13-1-9, had a huge impact as well on that EV and did a lot of setup kills and actually was able to save that final point after I believe Ricotta went down. But Ricotta is the one that I think is to look at, because Leon, that was a 7th pick. That was very, very low down in the draft, but she's known as the anti-flank. She's really, really good against Maeve. And Drogo's, I mean, last game he had no hit scan to play really against. I mean, he had to deal with Lex and Atlas, but they were too focused elsewhere. This game he had 4 different forms of hit scan as Evil Eye that he had to deal with, and I'm just going to go ahead and spoil it. It did not work very well for him.
Yeah, it was really, really hard for that Drogos to be able to have the impact that he had on Jaguar Falls last game, especially with how Ricotta, and not only him, like shout outs to Simsalou as well for doing really well, but how Ricotta was playing, man, he was just on top of it so much. Just see the damage he's pumping out on this Leon pick, just in general, and it's so impressive.
And I mean, the guy's still not feeling well.
Right, exactly,
I think that's the other thing that stands out to me is it's just like he's coming in and he's playing for his team. Because, I mean, when you look at yesterday, you have to, right? That's you look at how things went and you're like, we know on our best day, even if Ricotta's playing sick, that should have been a 4-2, maybe been a 4-3. Like, we should have been able to push them further than we did, or the game should have been closer. One of the two, right? If it's going to be a 4-1, then there shouldn't have been any score lines that leaned very heavily towards Na'Vi. But you're looking at it like, well, I mean, that's a matchup maybe we can lose because it's 2nd versus 7th, right? So we can shake that. This one is 6 and 7. This is one that if you are the Knights and your goal is to improve and to climb, you cannot lose this set, and so you need that performance 3 more times.
Well, Frog Isle is the 3rd map for Game 3. Jaguar Falls, Kanga 4-1, and then in return, Knights bring it back 4-0. Now that the score is tied, Frog Isle will be the one to decide who breaks this tie.
And this is going to be an interesting one because long range has been notable on this map, but so have flanks. And it's one of those things. We'll see snipers, and the snipers stopped feeling quite as safe with Maeve and Eevee on the board.
Right.
And notably going for the Eevee ban, probably a Cassie here since that's typically been Kanga's bread and butter as of late. Leaves Maeve first pick for them once again, which is what they did last game, but it also means that Simsalou would have to reach to a different champion and a different play style, really, to try and maybe counter out a Kinessa or a Strix, whichever one Kanga might want.
The thing is that do you think that they'll try and lock the Maeve first to deny Simsalou that familiarity and force him to go with something else on this map? You mentioned that flanks were a problem on this map on Frog Isle, especially when you bring snipers into the mix. They banned the Eevee. Clearly, they don't want that situation to put pressure onto whatever sniper they decide to pick. So would you imagine them trying to lock the Maeve after this con if they don't decide to pick it up?
It kind of depends on how much they want to control Simsalou and how much they think they can control him without having to pick around him, right?
Okay.
Like, it's one of those things, like, Maeve first pick is very good at not only making Evil Eye comfortable, but being okay, Simsy, we don't want you to have this.
Right.
Last game, he showcased that, okay, cool, I don't have to have it. I'll take Eevee.
Right.
Anywhere Maeve works, Eevee tends to work as well. There's a couple maps where that's not quite as true. Frozen Guard comes to mind. I think Maeve's a little stronger there. But for Frog Isle, it's the same kind of concept. I actually like Eevee a little more here, but I think that's part of the reason Kanga want to ban her. And with Maeve now being taken away, the question that I had for Sims, which is where do you go after the Maeve is gone, now falls, I think, even heavier onto Evil Eye's shoulders because Simsalou has showed us 5-6 different champions at the same level doing the exact same amount of things through NSI and through the last couple of weeks. Evil Eye hasn't, admittedly. Like, I mean, over the 13 weeks of play, he got better, and we know he can reach a little deeper. He can play the Drogos. We saw that. We know that he can reach out to play a Bomb King if he wants to, but neither of those scream Frog Isle to me. Drogos has a little bit more recently, but not when the Knights can, I think, feel as comfortable as they are right now after a 4-0.
Right, exactly. And on top of that, with Strix potentially being picked, he is end up locked in for PK. How would a Drogos be able to adapt in a situation like that on Frog Isles? Would he even really be able to do that? They would have to lock the Kinessa for sure, right? And Evil Eye, no discredit him whatsoever. An amazing Drogos player, but you got to give credit where credit's due. Like a Strix, a sniper Drogos trying to find those shots, it's going to be a lot harder for him.
Well, it's one of those reasons Combustible's really good on this map because you can knock people off of ramp as well as if you send just a Dragon Spit to window or over the walls around window, that's where the snipers are. So you are almost guaranteed to hit somebody over there, or you force Strix to go to a different direction. But that's also assuming that, well, at this point, I guess Knights only have really a spot for a support left. They need the healing. And so if you want to go the Drogos, you can make it work, but it's a little dangerous because not having Worm Jets means Maeve can get you a little easier, but not having Combustible means it's easy peasy for Strix to get rid of you. Cassie, Kinessa, I think this is going to be about as tried and true as you can get for Kanga.
So they might go for the Ying pick here, and this is interesting because I was thinking Damba inside my head, but Ying also works pretty well because of the fact that she has her ultimate illusionary rift, gives so much healing over a set amount of time. It gives them the ability to stay fighting and stay in there, especially on a map like Frog Isle where those fights are going to be happening and those blows are going to be exchanging extremely frequently.
Ying ult and Fury ult have very similar effects in my mind, even though they don't do anywhere near the same thing, right? Fury is here's move speed and damage. Ying is, hey, here's 600 health a second. But they both are, we should win this fight ults, right? There's no reason with what you are getting from your support now that this should trip up. So you're looking at round 2 fights, round 3 fights, kind of being more in favor of the Knights. If we get there, I think the Maeve versus Cassie kind of question is going to be answered sooner rather than later. But Ashe also is going to have to play a big role as well. Like, I mean, G-Bunny versus Khan is going to be important and crucial to making sure that Maeve has space to be able to actually get anything done.
Yeah. Whose draft do you like more, Gores?
I'm going to go with the Knights.
The Knights? All right. Well, you heard it here, folks. You heard it here first from Gore, folks. We're going to pass it right down to the casters to get this game started.
Well, variety is the spice of life, and you get a little bit of that here. Game 3, Frog Isle, one of Kanga's favorites. They like themselves some sniper action. We're going to get some of that to top it all off. They go the Kinessa route. Do you think Strix might be a little bit better suited for this map?
I think he's just
not
better
this map, but in general.
I think he's just better at laying down damage.
Sure.
So I think in the end, the Knights ended up with a better draft. I actually love the Ying pick for a couple reasons. Because against Maeve, everyone buys Resilience, right? Everyone just gets Resil 2 just to get rid of that Midnight effect. So by going Ying instead of Damba, now the CC ult isn't as affected. You still have a good ultimate. Plus, she lives if she gets overpowered. Not a lot of champions really get to do that. She can teleport to any distance and make it back. So I think really solid draft from the Knights. We'll have to see how they play it out. Looks like pretty standard. Point tanks trading on point, snipers trading on the window, and some damage going down into the danger area on the right side.
Well, this is Kanga's map pick, which means the Knights are going to 4-0 it.
Oh, you're right. I don't even know why I'm here.
Yeah, right. We don't need it. We don't need any analysis. Let's just we'll let it play out. Ricotta might see to it that I'm correct in this instance with a double kill already on the Strix. Evil Eye and Chronix, no more damage for Kanga. And the Knights, they've been on the point this entire time. They're going to throw Zarini out there, garner themselves 42% on the back of some good shots from Ricotta.
Yeah, and Knights, if they have the point time, but Kanga did manage to get away. Ricotta digging one quickly onto the Barrack. Barrack is basically a giant head. So you can almost confirm that you're going to be taking that much damage. As I say that, again, a second headshot onto Barrack. Okay, hit the body that time. I am sorry. Ricotta, my narrative, but still, he's still putting on a lot of damage here. Uncontested, not even moving. Full turret mode, Ricotta, as he spams down, maybe coughing in his left hand while he aims with the right. Still dealing with that sickness. Joel's bullied off the point. Khan trying to touch, but I don't believe it's going to be enough with the displacement from Ashe.
Yeah, they're just kind of staggered out right now, almost one after the other, trying to get in there and get something done. G-Bunny stays alive over the head of Rhino. Cutie confirms the kill. But that's about as clean of a start on Frog Isle as you hope for if you're the Knights. Didn't use too much, didn't lose too many. You have Flashbang ready for the Strix as well. And that's something both teams have shown. I think early on here that, you know, that we want this cap and then to continue the aggression, keep the payload moving forward. And Ricotta tosses out the flashbang, goes fishing a little bit.
I mean, it's a pretty easy defense if the defending team gets to that forward corner. That's why most teams will like bully this really hard, because this is where the advantage lies in the attacking team. Though they can't just let them walk into Ricotta like this. He managed to avoid it through time and space. Illusory Rift actually to keep him alive. Simsalute DR, 400 damage on a Cassie shot. Jesus. Still though, pressuring these backs. The bully kind of playing in main, a little bit surrounded actually. Rhino's also surrounded, but he does manage to find a pick onto Cuss. That's no heals for the Knights, but I mean, lifesteal DR, their sustain is still there even without Cuss.
That's an important kill, I think, from Joel's, because Kanga right there, they were cornered out in an awkward spot, kind of surrounded by everyone on the Knights. Ricotta back into it. Joel's with 154 health manages to get a kill, before he falls down on his own. Ricotta now maybe trying to set up shop. This is where I think, as you said, you know, this is where you can expect Chronix, I think, to be back right here on these angles, holding these walls. He knows where the Knights are going to be attacking from, but this is sort of where the first round of ultimates are going to start being available as well. The Knights have Midnight, Assert Dominance, Seismic Crash. All of those could be very useful in getting this payload moving. Kanga with plenty to defend with on their side as well. Only through time and space was used last time around. First pick, though, onto Simsalute. Looks like the Knights are going to have to wait just a little bit longer to get this attack started.
Especially since I think the smartest ultimates used here would be the Midnight. I mean, it has its most value early game. Kanga does have a counter to it, but if you use that now, get the Scout out of the way, A, you'll probably charge it faster, and B, I mean, just getting Scout out for, like, danger pushes, maybe they don't know where you're coming from, you could settle something up. And you really want Assert Dominance for mid. Being able to go from the ground to that window when that window is, like, the key area to control, I think it's just too important. But now with the pick onto Simsi, again, I really don't think they're going to commit anything here. Kanga have a pretty aggressive defense. If Knights can make it to the point, maybe they'll think about using Seismic or Flashbang, but at this point, I think it's just, it would be too little too late.
You know, 15 seconds left. They'll have to start moving forward right now. Sort of a big wall of defense set up from Kanga.
I love that flick. I'm sorry. That
No,
was
you're
very
fine. It caught me
fast.
off guard, too.
Yeah.
It caught me off guard as well. It's one of those plays that are so good, like just such a good little micro play that I almost forget what I'm talking about. Joel's going to clean up Ricotta towards the end of it. So good defense from Kanga after what was a convincing mid-fight there from the Knights. More the same, though, you said. I mean, lots of good value ultimate-wise for the Knights coming into this one. Ricotta really set up this mid-fight, though, for the red side.
Yeah, did he burn on a flare? Did he fall? I didn't actually see
I guess he must have, because I didn't see a shot.
He might have rolled off, actually. Either way, still, Ricotta getting a quick double. Half of them on purpose, one half maybe not, but still. Good ultimates online for the Knights. Seismic Crash, Midnight, Assert Dominance, all without Resilience online, I think. Yep, none online for Kanga. They're choosing to go Caught 2 instead, which is important. I mean, like, the Gambit here with Ying, right? Like, all she outputs is healing. Do you deal with the ultimates first, or do you negate the value that Ying brings to a team? So, just by bringing that now, itemization, a little bit harder for Kanga. Ricotta looking here on the danger side, keeping them locked back. They look how far back they're sitting, giving up a lot of cap time. Joel's finally moving in, but Knights already have really great control.
Yeah, Rhino's down to half health immediately off the bat. Seismic Crash into the dome shield, though, from the Barrack there on the point. Joel's having such an impact on this game for Kanga. Top damage for his team. Gets another kill here on Zarini. Has to bowling ball out. Can't see anything with the Midnight dropped from the Knights. They successfully forced back Kanga. Evil Eye, though, he stayed alive. Gotten a kill onto Simsy. Simsy's had a tough game up to this point as Assert Dominance gets Void Gripped out. Not going to get him out of it this second time around. And the Knights slam down the banner in the back line. Simsulu needs to find a way to have more of an impact, I think, on this mid-fight.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's hard for the Mave to get in. That's kind of why the EV ban was so impactful from Kanga. But still, if he could just trade on these sides, it might be just as good. Evoli missing the shots onto Simsy. Simsy barely getting out of that thanks to the reset on his double jump. But two people pushing danger means he's not going to be able to get out. Evoli has to back up, but there's so much pressure from Kanga. Joel's is in main. Rhino's in window. At this point, Zarini's death is just an eventuality. Evoli backing up to Rhino's waiting arms, but still just using that for cover, keeping damage up. Bunny might try to touch, but it's not going to make a difference. This mid's going to go Kanga's way.
Kanga get their chance at an offensive stand, and Pittsburgh need to draw the line in the sand, per se, here on Frog Isle. Four streaked out members.
There's a lot of sand on this map.
I guess there is, the road there. It's a good flashbang comes in, but Evil Eye is able to just set up shop right behind that, that environment hazard there to keep himself out of vision. Jules has had a great game, I think, on the Barrack, not only last game, but this game, he's made his presence felt, which is sometimes hard to do if the rest of your team isn't having as great a game. This time, I think Kanga are, though. 6-2 and 5, top damage in the game. Gera as well. Honestly, everyone from Kanga.
Above all the DPS, too.
Right.
And into an Inara. He's mostly poking out this Inara who has that damage reduction, so still that's great confirms on him on other targets. Good shot into Simsy, diving the backline, actually. Great movement by Simsy, playing this wall over here, baiting back a volley. Bunny might get thrown off, though. It's so unfortunate.
No!
He didn't see it coming. No.
Gera stole it.
Even without Vortex grip. Nothing they could do. Garrett does take it from him, just wanting to pad his stats, maybe give a little bit of a gift if he dies later, you know, because that kill streak bonus you get when you die only applies to kills. Garrett thinking
I'm
very
sure
thoughtfully.
that's exactly what he was thinking.
He is a very kind gentleman. He's thinking purely of the Knights here.
Of course, of course.
Things settling down. Evoli actually dying, though, so that's going to stem Kanga's offense a bit.
Looks like Pittsburgh have been able to stall things out. You know, I mentioned in the mid-fight, Simsaloo has had a tough time really getting involved, at least in the mid-fight. So that's good, I think, from him, just from a mental perspective, to be able to find some sort of impact on this defense. With a minute left, Kanga, 5 ultimates ready to roll. Pittsburgh only with 4, soon to be 5 on the Assert Dominance is ready as well. And now that delicate dance begins of who starts to use their ultimates first, who maybe finds the first pick in this one, what do we want to save for the next mid-fight. Oftentimes, it kind of just comes down to a pick. If one team has to throw everything at the wall to defend, maybe, you know, Pittsburgh, I mean, they're going to realize they're going to have, I guess, fast cap coming into the next mid-fight if they lose this one as well. So not all is lost for the red side.
The biggest one I'd see thrown out is probably Through Time and Space. I mean, maybe Dome Shield, but I think they need it for mid. Through Time and Space specifically because I believe Ricotta is running high damage reduction in his loadout. That's just a guess for me. He probably has Roost 4 or 5. So that usual, like, on this map, you'll say, oh, I'll Through Time and Space the sniper. But with Roost 4 or 5, he'll just live. He just won't die. That 30% damage reduction stacks up and lets him live through it. So wouldn't be shocked to see him throw it out, but it looks like they're going to hold on to it. They do get some picks on the back of Chronix. Joel still contesting the cart. A little low, though. It's going to be a risky push for Kanga. They might have to commit if they go for it.
Yeah, who finds this first pick? That's what you look at. The Knights have been able to respawn. It's Chronix yet again. 3 individual kills as this payload is rounded the final corner. If you're able to get Simsaloo, this becomes a much more daunting task for the Knights here. Zarini, of course, just going to be stationed there on the point. G-Bunny pulling one back onto Joel, so important, but you got to find a way to deal with Chronix. Evil Eye as well, right down Main Street. Zarini able to trade out. The Knights are still alive, and it looks like Chronix is going to have to back off. But those were tense moments. Some of those kills start to go the opposite way. Kanga's able to push that one in.
Yeah, the health on Knights was getting really low, even with a Ying supporting them. You know, that's kind of surprising. Oh, actually, I remember hearing this, but I wasn't sure if it actually killed Bunny. Good overpower by Rhino to counter that assert dominance. Yeah, no. At that point, you just bash to die faster. You know it's over. I mean, you're not going to land.
Gravity pulls me down.
Yeah, exactly. You just gotta sink like an anchor to the bottom of the sea. Still, goodbye Rhino, using that to counter it. He still has it here. He might look for it on this mid early, but I'm sure they want to hold it for a counter.
Yep.
Like, Knights have really good impactful ultimates, but Kanga has counter ults. I mean, they have Scout for the Midnight. They have, as we saw, Overpower for the assert dominance. Dome Shield kind of like soft counter Seismic Crash. If you see it coming, you do that. They can't really get any follow-up on it. So it's all on how Kanga, I think, use it. Do they go for the throat, or do they just play the counter game?
And Nick loves to point out, and I think he's right in most regards, it's kind of whoever really gets that first punch gets a good zone in as well. Tends to win a lot of these mid fights, whether it's an ultimate, whether it's a pick, whatever it may be. That is the Dome Shield. I don't know if that's an offensive ultimate. Right into Seismic Crash through time and space as well. Zarini still alive, now forcing out Jules. The Barrack so impactful in this game is not going to have an impact, at least for a few moments, as he drops back, heals up a little bit. And it's the Knights who are on the aggressive push here. Kanga have used everything, all their ultimates except for the Overpower, finally getting some payoff in the form of a kill onto Simsalou here. Evil Eye trying to stay aggressive. Dodge roll around the backside. He's got some damage coming from his right, but playing those angles so well, keeping himself behind those trees, and another kill from the Barrack keeps Kanga in this one.
Assert dominance and Overpower both still up. You can tell, like, they're just holding it for it, and Bunny doesn't want to use it until that Overpower comes in, so still good forethought by Rhino to keep that in control. Kanga got a couple picks. That Headhunter actually didn't find a lot there. It didn't. I mean, Knights were capping the point the whole time, but, I mean, if you charge it this fast, you can kind of throw it out. He's already at 76%. Chronix in a great position here. Gets Simsi really low. He managed to get a touch from the life exchange. Assert dominance coming into the point, and Rhino actually misses the Overpower. No. That's the counterplay. Now, how are they going to deal with that Invincible Ash on point? Looks like they don't even have to. They're just going to get every other kill on the map.
That's a double kill from Evil Eye, setting up Kanga for point number 3 on this one. Chronix, a little bit of a consolation, I guess, death for the Knights on the opposite side. And Kanga are pushing for the win. They do use everything. You have the flashbang if you're the Knights, but this is the dangerous steamroll after the mid-fight that we always see, where Kanga are going to stay aggressive, prevent the Knights from pushing any further forward. And this payload's going to be moving quickly.
Yeah, I gotta say, that's the worst feeling as an Ashe. I mean, as I've played off tank for months. I played main tank for months. When you assert dominance on point, right? When you're just like in the middle of their team, you're just like, I'm shooting them all, doing all this damage, and then nothing happens, and your team just dies. It's just like, well, what more could I have done? I mean, Rhino's probably Bunny's winning that right now as he flies off the map of only getting a kill into SimC2. They used Illusory after this, but with 3 picks going Kanga's way, they're going to have to set up for this snowball here. If Chronix gets some good shots in a good position, this could just immediately go to Kanga.
5 seconds left on the lowest cooldown, 2 seconds now. Pittsburgh Knights, we're going to get one more shot at this, but if it goes anything like what we just saw, they're not going to be long for this game. Kanga's map pick, of course, in a game that has been the other team winning. The other team's map pick, I should say, through time and space. Maybe starting this one off. Only finds a clone, so no kills just yet for Kanga, but Rhino finds one onto G-Bunny. Joel's as well, keeping the aggressive Barrack play, but Seismic Crash onto the backside. There's Enlightenment, but wait, it hits the side of the staircase. He finds no value out of the Seismic Crash. Evil Eye with a double kill, Chronix and Joel's. Now they're pushing into the base of the Knights. This payload's gonna go in, and Kanga are gonna go up 2-1.
Kanga's basically just AFK there at the end of the fight. So unfortunate from Knights. Their ultimates just could not hit what they wanted to. The through time and space opening, actually, it didn't just hit a clone. It hit Ricotta, who had Roost DR. So he lived with like 800 HP. Cuss turned to heal him. No heals on the point, so that sniper damage, everything else coming in, just wiped the floor at them. So Rainy panicked, had to Seismic Crash. Really good use of their ultimates.
Into a staircase.
Yeah, into a staircase. I was trying to avoid that, Dave. I was saving face for him, but still.
It literally happened on screen.
It did happen on screen.
We have to say it. I mean,
hounding on it versus it just being there is different.
Yeah,
like, you don't have to talk about the elephant in the room. Still though, Kanga, I think, positioned really well. Chronix on a sniper is scary. It's always scary. It's been one of his highlight characters, I think, or highlight roles since he came into this league, and he showed why that game. I mean, he was just almost uncontested. I
Well, this is a map that Kanga traditionally have liked. I mean, they've loved
Because of
Frog
Chronix
Isle. They
Sniper.
go there. Chronix
Yeah.
is so good on the snipers, whatever it may be. Kanga, it's the closest set we've had so far, but Kanga still finding the win. They go up 2-1 in our only set of the day. Game 4 right after this.
INAP, powering the control room for the Paladins Premier League.
Hey guys, welcome back. That was Game 3, Kanga versus Pittsburgh Knights, and Kanga ends up breaking the tie, taking it over PK. Now that they're 2-1, it's really just a matter of whether they're going to be able to close out the set.
And honestly, looking towards Kanga, it's dominant. I mean, 4-1, 4-0, 4-1, right? So it's swinging either way, which is a good sign, I think, for both of these teams, because it's one of those things, and we'll put it this way, where it's just, if you're going to choose a map, which, if we ignore the first two, you choose it, you win it, right? And if you're going to win it, you need to win it pretty heavily to kind of keep things going. They take each other's map for the first two maps, kind of going in reverse order there, but being able to control Frog Isle, I don't know if it's something about Knights, because they've banned it in the past. Maybe they just aren't as comfortable opening up on Frog Isle as they are some of these other maps as well.
Yeah, Chronix leading with the 103,000 damage. A lot of good damage on not only him, but Joel's and Evil Eye. But there's one player that actually comes to mind when I'm thinking about Kanga Esports, especially during this game, is Rhino, running 7-6 and 17 on this map on Frog Isle.
And, I mean, the biggest thing he brought, again, when you look at your off tanks, you're not looking at their slash line as, oh, it's going to be impressive. I mean, Joel's went 10-3 and 12 from the point. But you're looking at what is he commanding? What is he forcing people to do? Notice a lot of Havens on the side of the Knights. A lot of those Havens are, man, Chronix is hitting us really hard. Evil Eye's hitting us really hard. Jera is hitting us really hard. Everyone's direct damage. It's really, really good. Except G-Bunny. G-Bunny didn't go for it. G-Bunny had to go for resilience. And it's because Rhino, playing on ramp in the way that he's been going, is just controlling him. I mean, there were a lot of times he was controlling G-Bunny, but it affected everyone in the game because you need this space to be opened up for your Mave, and G-Bunny and anyone who tried to fight him on ramp or fight him anywhere near the edge of the map, you're at risk of being commander's grabbed off the edge. You're at risk of being overpowered off the edge. And then he just does that amount of damage too.
Yeah.
It's just too much to handle.
Yeah, it's really hard to... I feel like there's a running theme here where we always talk about the frontliners can actually sneak up some damage onto you. Khan's definitely one of those characters. Barrick's one of those characters. And Nara.
98k damage on Barrick that game, by the way.
It's that's exactly what I'm talking about. It's super. You have to be really careful around these characters. You don't expect them to be hitting hard. You brought up such a good point. You always aren't paying attention to the slash lines on off tanks or front lines, right? But if it just happens to be good, it's good.
Well, and it's one of those things Joel's could have been 0-3 and 20 for all I care. Or 0-3 and 10. It's just it's not really how many kills is he getting. Obviously, that helps contribute so immensely to the team, but it's he doesn't have to be the one doing it. If he's still doing 98,000 damage, his kills don't matter as much if he's able to kind of keep that control. So looking at that, I mean, it's very dangerous. Khan, Ash, Barrick are all really, really good for Kanga, and you also have to get rid of the Makoa. You also have to get rid of the Atlas. You also have to make sure they don't get Torvald. There's so much that they can control the game with. It's going to take them a little bit more work to do.
Yeah, Bazaar is going to be the map pick for this game currently. Game 4, Kanga versus the Knights. They offer the Torvald ban first. We're probably not going to see any much of two much standard deviation from the ban so far.
Yeah, Torvald has... The only time I've seen him lose so handily that it's like, man, that lost maybe in picks and bans was yesterday's Na'Vi game. Like 90% of the time, once Torvald is locked in, it is a win. It's just there's a little bit more stress on him if he's going to be solo tank like he was played yesterday. And unfortunately for Na'Vi at the time, they weren't able to quite hold it up. Otherwise, yeah, he has a reserved spot at the bottom of the screen.
They go for the Cassie ban once again, trying to target Ricotta, trying to not necessarily get him off of his comfort picks, but really just start to dampen his his champion pool in this case. They also ban the Atlas, ban one of the frontliners as well. We see all the time. They always go for the frontliners, and Knights they will lock Ashe first.
And this is going to be, not only has she just skyrocketed in terms of her play, pick, or her pick rate, she's become one of the top contested front lines in the game when you remove like Makoa and Atlas from the mix. But Kanga really love their Ashe, I guess is the best way to word it. They love playing her. It was actually really surprising to see them not go for Ashe last game, but after seeing what Rhino was able to do on Khan, I'm not too surprised with it. Maybe trying to branch out a little more from what they've been known for, because they've been playing just a little bit more of a mix in this set than I've seen them play, and I think taking last week's 2 losses to heart, coming in this week, trying to make sure that kind of issue doesn't arise for them again.
Knights going for the Leon Genos lock, something that we saw on Serpent Beach back during Game 2. Kanga in response has locked Barrick Maeve. Maeve's obviously going to be on the Chronix. Joe's has been sticking to this Barrick since Game 1.
And there's no real reason not to, honestly.
Right, exactly.
I mean, and the couple of games that we've seen Barrick come through. First game, it was commanding. He was 14-6 and 14. The second game, they don't have Barrick. Knights get Barrick, and he does the same kind of performance. Last game he comes through. I guess the long story short is that Barrick's just really, really good in the right hands, and both of these teams have players that are making him look right. And again, 10-3-12, the 98k damage he did last game, it's going to matter. That's no damage boost on the team. Or no, that's with the Genos on the team, but granted, okay, take away 20,000 of that. He's still doing 80,000 essentially damage. It's not going to impact them, I think, as much as it could.
Yeah, I have a question, and it's something that I always see, especially on Bazaar. Over other supports, I always see Grover. Now, the thing is that the point itself is centered in a position to where you can get shot from all sides no matter what it is. There's so many openings, and so holding that high ground is so important. What about Grover is making him picked on Bazaar over others? Because it happened yesterday as well.
So, first, he can heal through walls. That's probably the biggest thing that you're going to need to think of. If he's standing under the balcony, under the ramps on the side, and behind a wall on the point, he can still heal Inara and the Maeve that's standing above him, right? Like, it's perfectly fine for him. And his radius on that healing, especially with the way a lot of people run their loadout and with the talent, it's usually massive enough that he can sit pretty comfortable, like in a typical support fashion, and still heal everyone he's going to need to. Maeve, depending on where she extends, is going to have to fall back to get that heal from him, but for the most part, he's going to be able to make sure he touches down on everybody who is going to need the immediate heal.
Do you think that Grover pick is going to be something that Knights struggle against when they pick Genos? Or are they doing it specifically for the Lian, for the Luminary buff, for that damage they might be able to pump out? I
mean, first round, I think they struggle a little bit against the Grover. I think first round control is all in favor of Kanga. I think when you look at rounds 2, rounds 3, when Cauterize is coming online here, like, first off, if we roll back a year and Death and Taxes was still in the game, then it's already over for them. But you keep it going as it is now. As Cauterize comes more online, that Grover is just going to feel the pain, I think, a lot more.
Well, here we go. Game 4. We're going to throw it right down to the casters. Guys, what do you think?
I think it's Game 4, and I think Kanga are going to win.
I also think I just had some flashbacks when Gore talked about Death and
Taxes. Oh, no!
Yeah, I immediately just shuddered through my whole body.
Yeah, right. Just shivering in here.
But yeah, Kanga, Grover main healer. I think it's kind of interesting on this map. He can heal through walls, like Gore mentioned, so he can kind of play safely behind those walls on point. But still, he can get overwhelmed really easily. His out is a vine, and sometimes you hit it, and then like as you're going, you tap a wall, and Grover's like, "Oh, I think I'll stop.
I think I'll just stay right here." And I mean, we saw it yesterday, but it was a ferocity Grover also with, I believe, a Genos on their
Yes.
team. So it's technically like
DPS
a
roll.
right. It's like a double stack healing almost in a way. At any rate, though, bizarre for game number 4. I love the 2-1 score lines because either Kanga go to set point or Pittsburgh Knights push us to a best of 3 to round out this Friday PPL action. It's going to be a fun one, though. Shaolin, interestingly enough, for Chronix, if anyone can do it, it's going to be that man.
Yeah, I mean, Shaolin, I actually thought it could have gone either way. I wouldn't have been too surprised to see Evoli on. It is a character he's played quite a bit, but I mean, obviously he wants to pilot the Maeve. Shaw is still pretty respectable at getting these long-range poke. I mean, that's kind of part of Kanga's comp, right? They have Grover and Shaw. You could take 1,700 damage across the map and not even know it, but Simpsy finds the pick onto Chronix after using his dash, had no other out. So now Ricotta can take a commanding position here on the side, forces out of Evoli, making him dash away. Cap time going in the Knight's favor. Both tanks still in for Kanga. They're double point tank, and neither of them able to sit on the point because of all this pressure.
You're going to have to remind me, is this the... I know Genos, Eevee, Leon is. Is this the same lineup that they had on Serpent Beach when they absolutely slapped Kanga when it was Ricotta and Simsaloo just 1-2 punch? It might have been...
They had a Barrack instead
They had
of
a
the
Barrack.
Kong.
At any rate,
Instead of the Ash, sorry.
the core of this lineup so similar to what worked for them so well on the
Yeah.
Serpent Beach game. Ricotta and Simsaloo already off to a hot start. If we could, just right off the bat, just to get a gauge, maybe the slash line's damage. You already know what I'm saying before I
Not a
even say it.
single death.
2-0-1, no deaths in that one. Ricotta no kills, but top damage in the game by about 6 or so thousand. And I think Joel's has proven today that with or without the Luminary boost, he can make some good damage numbers on Barrack.
I mean, that's the power of Barrack, right? Like, he has a fantastic sustain, and his ability to poke is what I think makes him so good. Like, other tanks have similar damage output, but very few tanks, thanks to the power of Tinkerin on Barrack, have the ability to get that confirmed damage at that range most of the
nice.
time. You know, confirm that to Shotgun Barrack. I mean, every time I pick the wrong talent when I'm loading in and I go in on Shotgun Barrack, I just either A, wish I had Hair Trigger, or B, just try to shoot someone from far away, do 100 damage, and I go, all right, well.
Just
how-
F6.
Yeah,
and
just. Some games I really wish you could here, but Kanga got some good damage, forced them back, managed to get this aggressive defense. Simpsy
Ooh, good turn.
really trying to get that Ice Storm used here. Midnight actually also used, Evoli almost dying just to the chip damage from the Ice Storm, manages to get away. Kanga looking really good on this defense. They took both sides over that Midnight, so strong commanding position here, and looks like they want to keep it going.
A bit of an awkward spot there, but he's able to get out and stay alive. Chronix is. Remember, they are on defense right now, pushing into the base of the Knights, so the Knights are pushing the payload, or trying to at least. Wait. Backdoor. Who's on the payload right now?
I'm
There's somebody
assuming
on the payload. I
It
don't
has
know
to
who
be
it is.
Simpsy, right? It has to be
I
Simpsy.
guess it is Simsaloo. Yeah, Simsaloo
Yep,
is
there
pushing
we
the
go.
payload in right now. Kanga, there is going to be a Shaolin respawning. It is going to be Chronix that's coming back. They will be able to get back in time. I noted the little diamond moving forward, so this is the potential that something like a Bazaar brings with that vertical mobility. Now Simsaloo, though he gets some movement on the payload, bit of an awkward spot. If he's able to even get one kill, I think he'll be feeling okay about what he was able to trade out here. Instead, he only finds death. Good thought from Simsaloo.
Yeah.
Does not work out this time.
I mean, it basically completely owned the defense. Not a single. They didn't need a single pick. They didn't need a single point of damage. Simsaloo just being there forced Kanga back, brought them back. Also, I was gonna say, Dave, you noticing that you're already better than some of the people I played on teams with.
That I am?
Yeah, because they wouldn't have noticed that. Still though, good.
We're
good on
talking about
Simsaloo.
F6, and that's immediately when you're like, guys, come on.
But still, good foresight by
Right.
Simpsy. I think finding that hold, solid positioning by him. Verticality again, like you said, showing its strength, but not quite enough. They still fell
would've
off
been-
on the chase back end.
I think the longest back door. I mean, that was halfway there. If he was able to go undetected the entire way through, I don't know what I would have thought. Good thought from Simsaloo. Doesn't pay off this time. Kanga, enough of the pressure early on, gets them a successful defense here. Gera on the Grover. Not ferocity this time around, but still doing some damage.
Yeah, as long as you can keep your team clumped, your heals are going to be pretty solid. It is kind of rough if you want to be doing damage and healing on this map. He can get away with it a bit, but the fact is he has to sit either in the back right corner to focus on damage and healing his back lines, or he has to play behind the wall on point to heal his tanks, and the damage isn't really going to be there. It is decently there, though.
Yeah.
Still above G-Bunny on the Ashe, so good on him. He is finding that poke. Those confirms. Also, the cripple, very influential, I think, in this match.
Yeah,
because you
definitely.
can get the Ashe, you can get the Eevee. You can even slow down the Genos. It's not a huge deal, but it does make a difference.
Look to capitalize on that going into this next mid-fight. Of course, the Knights winning it, but failing on the offensive push, getting Kanga their first point in this game. Heat haze as well for Kanga. Gonna maybe start this one off with a few kills. Chronix, though, right into the overpower goes Evil Eye. It's a double kill from Cuss Cutie. You can't start off the fight much better than that. A good snipe through time and space is great from Cuss this time around. The overpower finds a kill, but it's not enough with the snipes coming in. Ricotta as well. Simsaloo gets onto the pile, and it looks like the Knights have found themselves another successful mid.
Usually you don't think overpower through time and space is a combo that you think, you think of it as a counter, right? But when you have both on the same team, I feel like it's overkill most of the time. Not there, though. They were diving so hard. Gera went in with the whirlwind to try to save Volley. It worked for a couple seconds until Cuss just went Super Saiyan 1 and awakened and fired. He's like, all right, I'm tired of this. We're winning this fight. It's supposed to be good for us. Midnight coming in and countered by the ice block. Bunny actually dying to the cripple throw, as we mentioned before, from the Grover. Gera, good aim there, catching that. Volley having to back up a bit, trying to chase Simsi, but go back to this backline duel on the point. Damage going both ways. Chronic barely getting away with his life and trades for Simsaloo.
Ricotta as well. He's up firing away on this high ground here. You got to find a way to stop this Leon. He's just pouring down damage from this high ground. With the Genos mark on the back, he's going to get aggressive here. Manifest Destiny right down into the turrets, though. Joel's as well. The good shots. That's a double kill. One or two more for the triple. But the Genos is going to escape. G-Bunny yet again going to go down. Had a tough time in this one. Shoulder bash out. Keeps him alive. Effectively out of the fight, though. Kanga at 81% on the point. Pittsburgh Knights at 90. Maybe one blank in from Simsaloo is all they get here. G-Bunny in range to contest. 99% for Kanga. The overtime is going to be started thanks to Simsaloo. Into the planted goes Chronix, but catches a Simsaloo shot from the Eevee. Just a little bit too low right now and has to back off. Overtime is in favor as Ice Storm comes out as well.
Yeah, Cuss going for another through time and space. Catches Gera, I think, using the whirlwind again, too. That's another ultimate out. Simsaloo fighting two on this side. Ice Storm didn't find too much earlier, but it just, everything just went Simsi's way. I was going to actually critique the decision-making from Knights there earlier because I didn't like how Ricotta dropped down when they were only at 40%. But when you can retake that effectively,
sure.
What does it matter? Knights have really good retake potential with their composition. Eevee is a free touch if Gera misses the triple throw, and shoulder bash into assert dominance is just as good. Going back to the damage charts, Ricotta still topping it.
Yep.
And Bunny actually getting assert dominance forced out by the wall there because he got stuck in. They can turn this into a lot of kills if they hit shots, and of course Knights are going to hit the shots. The Ricotta theorem in effect, not talking too much, means his aim goes up. Everything's going Knights' way.
I mean, you add these two guys, or you add Simsaloo to your lineup to be the counterpart of Ricotta. 3 kills in that one, an unofficial triple on the back end of an official triple in the mid fight for Simsaloo. You got to be careful giving these guys Leon, Genos, and Eevee because it's the same thing you got on Serpent Beach. They're well on their way to tying this series up with a win here on Bazaar. It's only 2-1 though. Kanga's still plenty in this game, but they got to find a way to stop off Simsaloo. The Dome Shield as well. Going to start things off for Joel's on the barrack. Just forces the Knights back, but with a minute and a half left, they'll be content, I think, the Knights, just to reset here. They get a Dome Shield for it.
Yeah, especially since all the Knights just managed to get away up. As I say that, cast a curse. Cuss does get picked off by Chronic, spamming through the little hallway. Crank is going to try to take this into a bit of a snowball here. Wall actually manages to catch Zarini in. Really good timing there on the shield, but not enough to get away from the aggression from the Volley. Still, I think that Dome Shield was well-timed. There's enough time to still charge it, unless Knights really don't take a fight here. But, I mean, with a minute left, they're going to have to. They want to convert this payload.
Simsi, Simsaloo's thinking about it. Evil Eye knows where he is, or he hears the flight, I guess. There are the daggers. He has back doors on the mind, but the payload is so close that Kanga are going to be around it anyway. Not going to work out. That was maybe more of just a flank, not even so much a payload backdoor. If he wins this engagement over Evil Eye, which he does, now Kanga, they need to find a way to win this one 4v5. Joel's is going to even things up with the kill onto Ricotta. That's a big loss for the Knights now in this engagement. But Simsaloo has often shown that he can do it all on his own if he needs to. Through time and space, does not find a kill this time. Ice Storm right onto Chronix, though. He goes planted. He's getting ticked away, but he gets the heal right at the last moment. And a good defense here from Kanga.
Great cooldown usage by Chronix there. I think every cooldown he used to avoid Simsaloo just hit. Withdraw to dodge the follow-up shot by Simsi earlier, planted to counter the Ice Storm, perfectly aiming at the wormhole too. I think great play. Shaw kind of falls in and out of the meta, but when these kind of players are playing, oh, Rhino, come on. Give him that extra point of damage, man. That's just disrespect to your own team.
I think so. I mean, when his ultimate comes up a second later than it would have and they lose the game, who's going to be laughing then?
Well, it's probably going to be Knights there. I mean, Knights probably laughing after this. Both stacked there on top. Oh, I love this camera shot here.
Ooh.
Both caught out barely here. And then followed up with the assert dominance, too. I don't know if they were expecting that to confirm. So I think good good insurance there
Yeah,
from Bunny
absolutely.
to follow it up, especially since it did lead to them taking that fight.
Stacking of the damage that time around. Ricotta, 7-4. Rezils across the board for the Knights right now. Level 1, level 2 at least.
That's the Mave special.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Just because no matter where you are, sometimes you're like, I can avoid it. You can't avoid Midnight. You're going to get blinded. No, matter
the
where that
Mave
Mave
special is when my my low-ranked teammates buy Illuminate, thinking that's what counters out Midnight. Midnight drops. Gonna look for something instead. Ricotta from the high ground. He's loved that area around the backside because he's just free and clear to shoot away. He has Chronix right in front of him. Once the invisibility wears off, good shot. Makes Ricotta back off. Think twice about taking that engagement. Only one kill in this one, but it's enough to get the Knights on the point with 57%.
Overpower coming into, yeah, catches a volley, getting those kills there confirmed. They're both DPS is down for Kanga, and a lot of sustain up for the Knights with that damage boost from the Luminary too. Ricotta coming around the side trying to find a kill. Doesn't look like Kanga's gonna even have a shot to touch this. Their point tanks aren't really that mobile. They're just gonna give it up. Knights going up 3-2 on the back of some crisp shots from Ricotta and a kind of just flub Midnight.
I mean, because Ricotta has elected, and for good reason, to just sit up on one of the two balconies every single time and rain down damage.
That's bizarre.
What a Kanga. I mean, do you dive him with Evil Eye, I guess? Is that all you can do?
You have to pressure him, but that's kind of the weakness of the double point composition on this map, right? You can't. Who do you send it? What tank makes room for your DPSs to get onto Ricotta? And it's nobody. They're kind of trading both on tank, and it's not working for them. Ricotta, again, still here uncontested. Catching out Chronix, who can't get away this time, no matter how well he uses his cooldowns. They're going to find some more kills here. Everything. Ricotta doesn't even die at 400 HP. They just could not get it. The burst from the Genos, thanks to that buff, just too much.
I cannot put my fingers on put my finger on this Knight team. Like yesterday, just brutal showing. Great game 1, lose 4 straight. They look like one of the cleanest teams in the league today. It's such a different feeling. Maybe, honestly, it's Ricotta being in the lineup. Unfortunately, a good wall from Rhino keeps him from escaping off to safety. Evil Eye's going to keep the gas pedal pressed down with some good daggers into the back of G-Bunny. Still a minute and 15, though, for the Knights to give this one another go. 4 ultimates as well. Could end the game if they're able to push this payload in.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily Ricotta being like in the lineup isn't like his aim, but I think it's just the comm structure being different. In a game like this, I mean, a lot of players can hit all their shots, right? Like, all these players are going to have great aim, but what it comes down to is, like, the communication structure, the team play, and that's what was out. There's that great combo there. It doesn't manage to find it. They both barely kite away. Resilience does affect that Ice Storm, so they're able to walk out. Mave pressuring on the right side, forces out the ice block from Simsi. He's going to have to fly away, and he's kind of hung out to dry here, but getting enough damage onto Joel's to force him back.
It's a good shout as well to get a little bit of healing onto him and his low teammates around him, and it is Simsaloo and Ricotta who are going to benefit from that as well. Up and over goes Simsaloo, gets the kill onto Gara, so no more healing left from Kanga. Cusscutie finally, a little bit of vindication, finds himself one onto Joel's, and Simsaloo again wins a 1v1, technically, I guess, with Evil Eye, who's not able to escape the blast shots from the Eevee, and Ricotta is just going to farm up the rest of this here. Kanga now respawning. Need to dig in their heels because this ends the game if it goes through.
Yeah, I mean, Whirlwind, Grover showing his weakness to Claw 3 here. Because he used Whirlwind and just immediately died. Straight through it. It's not doing enough here. Midnight comes in, gets countered by the CC immunity. Bully trying to find some pokes on the flank, but just cannot hit onto Simsi. Simsi won't be able to chase him down. Assert Dominance used in the front to try to put down some, just put a little bit of pressure. Save Cuss, maybe Chronix chasing him. Cuss barely kites it. Gara finds an axe from the spawn. Buddy actually getting walled off. That's a really interesting wall. And I think just the spam from Gara is going to just flip this fight.
What? A triple kill from the Grover. Who would have thunk it? Simsaloo. He's going to catch some daggers from Evil Eye. I would absolutely taunt. Good axes from Gara. Save that one for Kanga. We're going to a 0.7 on Bizarre. I feel like that's something we should just get used to saying because it happens so much of the time that we watch this map.
But I don't know. It's different from Ice Mines, though, because I feel like on this map, you feel like all the fights could go the way of the attacking team, right? But on Ice, those last fights feel kind of hopeless. This map is just so back and forth and constantly exciting. Not to say Ice Mines isn't exciting. You know, having all that pressure on that fight is very interesting, but still, this map, super fun. Glad it's in the game. Glad it's being played here. 18-8 for Simsaloo. That is a stat line to behold. That is so many finishes. Again, power of mobility on this map. There's so many paths you can take, and when you're hitting all your shots while you're doing this crazy mobility, you're going to end up with stats like that.
It seems like the Knights as well have kind of controlled these mid fights throughout this game. Lots of points on defense from Kanga, I think, except for the first one. This is such an impactful mid-fight as well. Kanga either go up 3-1 or the Knights tie it up in this set. Cuss Cutie set up the last mid-fight with a beautiful through time and space. Can't get that every single time. Jules and G-Bunny trade out for Zarini and Gara, but Kanga maybe even on worse for wear after that one because they lose their healing. Luckily, some good shots from Chronix as well are going to keep them in this fight, but Ricotta, you got to find a way to deal with them. They haven't been able to do it just as of yet. An Ice Storm in onto Joel's, a double kill for the Leon. Rhino is so low here on this point, hiding behind his wall, and if one more shot from Ricotta, which he hits, of course, onto Chronix. No more damage in the high ground from Kanga, and now the Knights can zone.
Oh, this could have been a lot better for Kanga because they did get cow time the whole time, but Gara kind of overextending in the end of that fight to get caught out on the bottom right. This is showing the weakness of Grover because Kanga had an interesting idea. They pushed top right, but they had to bring their healer with them, and he just got picked off by the blinks from Simpsy. So now, Knights in a strong position here. Can Kanga touch? They don't have Ice Storm to stop it. It looks like they're not even watching Rhino. Resil 3 means that Void Grip does absolutely nothing. Simpsy trading on the side, but what's the point fight looking like?
Up and down he goes. The wall as well is going to keep him alive just for a little bit of time. Simsaloo confirms the kill onto Rhino. Now it's a 4v5, 99% for the Knights. They have to get in. The Whirlwind, though, from Gara finally comes back up in this fight. Zarini forced out to the back line. Kanga, no kills just yet. They've only lost one in this fight. Simsaloo so low. Zarini gets the kill onto Evil Eye. There's the overpower onto Grover. Kanga are fighting from the point here, but there's nobody left. There's only 3 members. If Chronix goes down, this one could be over, but Joel stays alive and turns a kill out around onto Ricotta.
Chronix gets picked by the pressure from Zarini, and Simsaloo kills all going Knights' way right now. Rhino's going to live on point as long as he can, but there's just too much overwhelming damage. Seismic Crash going to stun Zarini for a second, but they won't be able to find the kill no matter how many daggers it fully hits. Getting air shot actually by Simpsy. Ice Storm to try to catch him, but he pounces away at the very last second. Their time and space barely misses Gara, but now he vined off and they don't have a way to touch. Knights are going to take this map, bring the game to a 2-2.
Good old Bazaar with the
Good old
7
Bazaar.
points, that mid-fight. So close, but the Knights, after losing the first mid-fight, control the rest of them from that. From then on out. We're back to a 2-2. There's something about that Leon, Genos, Eevee combo that seems to just be firing.
Wait, you're
for the
telling me
Knights.
that good DPSs that do more damage are good?
Yes. That is the high-impact
believe it.
analytical minds that we've got.
Why are you share one? We should
Yeah, I
just
don't know.
just flip, to be
We
honest.
should flip because that's the hard-hitting analysis that you look for out of a chair too.
But that last fight, I think, could have gone a little better. When it was really chaotic, when it was going back and forth, I think if Kanga had regrouped in the dome shield that Joel's dropped on point, they could have gotten more out of it, but Evoli stayed on the back left, fighting 2 people from Knights, got picked off. Gara tried to save him, got overpowered for his troubles. That fight, I think, could have gone cleaner for Kanga, but the pressure of a 3-3 fight when you're getting even closer to, taking that game, I think it just got to them.
Well, hindsight's 20/20, and this set is 2-2. Game 5 after this break.
SteelSeries, the official peripheral provider of the Paladins Premier League.
Welcome back. PK took Game 4 over Kanga. Now that they've evened it up, Game 5 is on its way. It was very, very, I wouldn't really say convincing, but it was close, though. It was a close match.
It was one of those things that the fights that were in favor of Kanga didn't feel quite as strong as the fights that were in favor of Knights, right?
Yeah.
And it was just, there were certain moments where you could see Cuss having an impact. I think every single member of the Knights was able to have an impact. And like, or at least I know, you pick Ash Khan, you get Zarini on something that is kind of half point tank, half not point tank. Like Khan is capable of it, but not typically one of the like go-to point tanks. So it's interesting to see them go a little more aggressive and have it pay off.
Yeah, I mean, they were bouncing back and forth between momentum because it would be like somebody would cap the point and then all of a sudden it would be like the scores would be evened up because somebody would be able to defend, and back and forth that whole game went. But PK came out on top. Simsalu and Rakata, both of them with absolutely insane amounts of damage. Simsalu having a little bit less than Chronix, but he still was a key player in this.
I'm also going to shout out I think it was 190,000, the 10-3-30 slash line right there for Cuss, which is phenomenal for that. But of course, Simsy, I think, was doing maybe a little bit more of the Lions' share of the work, the 22, 8, and 14 that he was able to stack up. I mean, it was just ridiculous. His EV continually impressed me, which is impressive in and of itself that he's done it for, I guess technically at this point, 2 years, really. But, I mean, almost always game-changing, almost always controlling the flow of the fight, and he's just so hard to lock down. It's part of the reason that it comes through. Shaolin, theoretically, is going to be the one trying to kill him here, but they didn't really have enough to commit to deal with this.
Right, it was like he was moving, weaving in and out. You can see it in the replay here, too. He was just going from point A to point B, flanking, rotating when he needed to at just the right time. So much pressure being exuded from him just in this one instance, and I believe he was not only the core member, but he was one of the people that helped PK tie up this game on Bazaar.
Yes, absolutely. And so being able to come back into it, not only have that kind of performance, but help tie up the set as well, it's phenomenal. But I think you can start to see, again, part of the reason why they were still successful yesterday, and part of the reason, I mean, when you roll back to split one, right, we talked about, well, Navi's being successful even though they have a sub coming through, and IP being successful when they have a sub. Yeah. It's just one of those things that a lot of these teams, that one guy is going to be important. Rakata, if he doesn't show up, it's very important compared to their normal game. But at the same time, the other four do so much work. Yeah. You kind of have to keep them in your mind. I mean, in that game, Rakata's top damage, Simsy's top kills. He's the one coming through and making sure to frag out. So I like the dynamic they have going in the Knights right now. Yeah. I just want to know if they can keep it up. So far, it's been back and forth between the two. Right.
Actually, that's a good point to make because like throughout this set, like throughout these matches, we've seen both Rakata and Simsalu. It's like if one doesn't get it, the other one's gonna get it. Like on Serpent Beach, it was like Rakata was just picking people off. Whoever was low that thought they made it out, Simsalu just came, swooped in, killed him, and backed right back out. And then for this game 5, though, we're gonna see Ascension Peak up next. I believe this is Kanga's map pick?
Yes, this will be Kanga's map pick. And it's actually kind of interesting that they choose this one to me because you are looking at, like, so Bazaar is a very square point, but kind of similar to this one. Like, I would argue in terms of fighting, you would feel kind of similar about Ascension Peak and Bazaar for the point fight. Although it's definitely a different layout, which is going to impact a ton around it. One of the things about Bazaar is having the perpendicular balconies that face each other over the point. Whereas here, you've got high ground on one side around the well, and then you've got, I guess, cliffside on the other side, where we've seen some really fun Mave EV matches. And I believe I think it was Evil Eye and Fish Echo the last time I remember seeing that. So it's going to be interesting to see what Kanga can do here. I mean, obviously they have to feel confident.
Yeah, I mean, Torvald is the one that they decided to ban first. Knights opt to ban Atlas. Leon this time, Kanga's had enough of Rakata's Leon. Like, they banned him the very first time. Rakata's smiling. Like, he's smiling like a little bit. He knows. Like, the pressure that he was able to exude so consistently just from from the shots on his Leon was really, really efficient. They opt to ban the Makoa as a result. Cuss Cutie snacking, drinking some water. I like that. I
mean, sometimes you just got to get a little snack in before your next game. I mean, at this point, again, these games have been a little bit faster, that 4-3 being the longest game we've had for this set so far, but you're looking at it like it's still mentally draining for these guys to be in here. They have to focus so intently on every single action they make, every single step they take to make sure that they're not making a mistake that will end up ruining their team or losing them a game. And so sometimes you just need a little bit of, like, snackies, a little bit of granola bar in your life.
Yeah, got to keep the morale high. And when you're eating, most people's morale are actually extremely high. I know what I'm
confirm. I am a lot
Yeah,
happier when I'm eating food.
That's what I'm saying. Ash is picked first for Kanga. Knights now have the option to pick 2 individuals here. They opt to go for the Barrack and the Genos. This has been like, man, like we've seen the impact Barrack can have, like a 93% hit rate, a 3% ban rate. Win rate over half as well. Same thing for Genos. Like, such high, not necessarily prioritization if he's not banned, but it's so, that combo itself is so efficient. Barrack does so much damage.
What doesn't kill me, better start running.
Especially with the Genos.
Yeah.
I think that's really, like, that's the scary thing right now, is seeing how much damage we've been able to stack up on a Barrack, and how much damage he stacks up even more than that when there's the Genos behind him. Dealing with him is probably the best thing you could possibly do. It's one of the hardest things I think that you could have to do. But Cassie is probably the best pick to do it, right? Yeah. You get the Wrecker, you get big game, you disengage, you pop any bowling ball shields that pop up, and you just hope that in that 4 seconds you can burn him down.
Yeah, they just opt to go. They are hovering Khan Eevee, but I can't imagine they wouldn't want to pick the Khan Eevee. They've already locked 2 DPS, 1 frontliner, and slow pan up to Cuss, who's still drinking. Good job on him for staying healthy, staying hydrated. Khan is picked, followed by the Eevee. They do lock those 2 characters in. The 2 DPS were already gone on Kanga's side. They decide to just take Eevee because of Simsalu's performance last time, I would assume.
And also going to be pretty solid on this map. I mean, again, Eevee Mave is a matchup that I'm not foreign to on Ascension Peak, and I don't think anybody should be. It's just, again, the amount of control that these 2 champions in particular can bring, but these 2 champions on the players, Evil Eye and Simsalu, that are going to be playing them, on this map, that's going to be pivotal around the point fight. I don't know, like, whether or not they want to fight cliffside, if they're going to be fighting over high ground, where they go is going to be completely up to them. But whoever lives through either them going onto a 1v1 or whichever one maybe flanks a little too early and slips up to somebody else, like, you know, Khan Eevee being able to melt down a Mave or vice versa, then they're going to be the team that has just obviously a distinct advantage in getting rid of a flank, but the control of the map and the flow of the map will inherently shift.
Yeah, Nara Furia locked as the last 2 on Kanga's side. They're hovering the Lex, but I can't imagine they wouldn't pick it in this situation. I feel like Lex could have a lot of, I guess, pressure would be the word to really go for here. I mean, I feel like he can have a lot of shots, a lot of damage, can surprise you, especially coming from Lex at this point.
I mean, it's also that area, like, the damage is the right place to focus on, right? Because you're looking at, well, Leon, mid to long range, hit scan damage. Cassie, mid to long range, it's going to be projectile, but they're fast moving, so it's a little closer. Still going to be something you have to get used to. It's not hit scan, so it takes a little bit of adaptation. But then you're like, man, I mean, what's next on the list, right? Like, you have Strix and Kinessa that are nice long range, but they're very niche. They have been pulled out on Ascension Peak, but again, it's very difficult, I think, to pull off. And then you look at Lex, and you're like, you know what? Close to mid to slightly wrong. Like, I would give him like midpoint 5. Like, he's not going to be long range. He's going to be able to fit there. Shaolin fits the boat. Shaolin is definitely going to fight more at the Cassie Leon range than a Lex would. But when you're looking at, again, hit scan versus projectile and damage on shots, Lex is maybe eking out a little more damage overall than Shaolin. But because of the fire rate that Lex is at, I really like the control Shaolin's going to bring here. And if he goes Explosive Arrow with Genos, that's a ton of damage in a burst. But even if he doesn't, he's got a ton of places on this map to find a stun with the Impaler Arrow.
You know, they have a lot of sustainability on Kanga's side as well, but same thing can be said for the Knights, really. The Barrack, Khan, Genos, followed by the Ashe, Nara, Furia.
Yeah.
Like, that Inflame is going to play a pretty big role into Knights' composition.
And that's the biggest thing. I mean, when you're looking at this Inflame, it's not there round 1, right? You have to play round 1. That's where Nara comes in. That's where Ashe comes in. That's where Mave, Cassie, the other 4 should be able to kind of carry them forward. That's what Kanga's hoping for.
Well, Game 5 is about to begin versus Kanga and Knights. Dolson, Kresnik, with your beautiful faces, tell us what you think.
Wow. How do you react from something like that? I appreciate it, Fawn. I think
the real beauty's on that desk.
Kresnik, you have a way with words that I could never compare to. Couldn't have said it better myself, but Ascension Peak, regardless of where the beauty is where the battle's going to happen. The Knights don't change up too much. I mean, Leon gets banned away, but they get Shaolin and Eevee and Genos and Barrick and Khan. I mean, that's a it's a composition that does a similar thing to what they just did.
It's a really similar draft, and I think they could have gone Lex. I think I'd almost prefer it, but I get why they went with the Shaolin. They want more range damage. They don't want to have to play closer. They want to be able to keep their distance, which makes sense with the Genos. You kind of want to kite, not necessarily force a fight with that damage reduction, because they will always have more consistent healing than you.
I get this eerie feeling that if the Knights are able to win this map, they just kind of win the day from that point on. Kanga's shown a lot of fight today, though. Can't count them out of this one yet. Evil Eye back on his Maeve. Of course, Chronix on the Cassie. So good on that champion. He's going to have to find a way to put some damage in on the Barrack. Doing so right now. So low on the opposite side is Zarini. Simsalo as well has to get out, but the first kill actually ends up going the way of Zarini onto Rhino, despite being so low in this engagement. In a long, grindy start that has Kanga fighting from the point. Is now kind of getting traded back and forth, but the Knights may be coming on top of this engagement.
I love how Knights are playing this. I mean, they're keeping their distance. That's one way. If you don't have a hard counter flanker, the other way to play around a flank is to just keep kiting them, because if they're not close enough to you where they can kind of abuse their cooldowns and get away, they're just going to do way less. It's kind of a common counterplay to Maeve, and Knights flipping it on their head against Eevee, flipping it on the head by having the Eevee themselves, using it to kill the Maeve. They force themselves in, they use cooldowns to chase. Now Eevee's blinks, wormholing back and forth becomes so much more effective. So great start to the mid-fight. Zarini getting the confirms that he needs to while capping the point. Point time wasn't Kanga's favor, but you can kind of contest with any on this map. Kanga actually looking like they're going to settle in for a retake.
This is where Rhino tries to get. If you're able to find Simsaloo, this becomes much easier to retake if you're Kanga right now. It has not happened. First round of Ultimate starting to get ready. The Inflame for Kanga. Maybe going to start things off here. Through time and space from Cuss Cutie yet again. There are only certain things in this life that are guaranteed, and one of them might be Cuss Cutie on this Genos. Couple kills, 2 for 2 for both teams. Simsaloo in and out. Drops off Gara, and it looks like the Knights are going to win. Point number 1. If they're able to get Rhino cleaned up here, might just be a formality at this point, though.
They actually didn't manage to get the overpower into the well. I think Bunny's slightly flipping that, and it's giving Kanga a chance to come back in, but they still get it, even with the Midnight used. 3 picks went in their favor at the last second, and now that Midnight is off the table. I love Knights' communication at the very end of that fight. Bunny was stuck in that corner, shielding, and they had 2 people on him. They inflamed, and the Asher's like, all right, we'll confirm on this kill. So Chronix is like, all right, I'll roll in too. As soon as he rolls in, Bunny's probably like, ult on me, ult on me. Ult hits him, gets the Cassie, starts that fight going back in Knights' favor when it could have gone the other way with Simpsy's damage.
Hung in the balance there, but the Knights were able to weather the storm, come out on top. Looks like a good start to this defense from Kanga, Chronix, and Evil Eye. You know, Evil Eye has been a player specifically for Kanga that, I mean, in a way, is almost the epitome of like hit or miss. You'll have these games from Evil Eye where he'll just go crazy, he'll carry the game, and Kanga will see their way through to a win. And this is the game in that his misses, there's kind of a floor, I think, where his misses are, he doesn't have like horrible games, but like every once in a while he'll just kind of disappear he'll just kind of fade into the damage charts, melt somewhere in the middle, not really be impactful. He's had a hard time, I think, keeping up with Simsaloo in this set.
His peaks are massive. I mean,
Right.
I think like he's been here before. I mean, he's played for I think Cryptic G2. Like he's been around. His peaks are there, but his valleys are when Kanga kind of falters, especially when they rely on him to be popping off. I don't think he's doing poorly this set so far.
No, he's not.
He's still top damaging for his team, but he's definitely the star crazy fragger carry performance is not there.
Right.
At least in this moment. Simsaloo trading into a volley on the right side.
It's hard to compare with Simsaloo,
Yeah,
though.
you're
I mean,
not wrong.
that's a hard guy to compare somebody else to with the way Simsaloo has been playing up to this point. Of course, on Penta, now in the PPL, he's kept up a lot of that performance, what you expect. Already forced back all the way to the balcony now, our Kanga. This payload maybe rounds its final corner with 38 seconds left. Chronix being lopped off. This is where you would expect that Cassie to really flourish up on the high ground there. Now you're left with Joel's on this Inara trying to stay alive. Void Grip might just seal up this death here. The wall's going to stall things out. Actually, a good shield keeps him alive just for a little bit of time. Blasted back, but the dome shield from Zarini is going to keep the Knights in this fight.
The backline respawning too. Chronix is back in, but he can't do anything through that dome shield. They all huddled in. It made it really hard for Chronix to confirm anything. Now he has to be the one contesting point with his Furia, but that's a lot of damage. If they focus the right targets, they might be able to get this. Chronix finding Zarini. Looks like the rest of Knights disengaged. Simpsy has to run if he wants there to be a retake, but he goes back to his wormhole instead. Dying for that. There's no way they're going to retouch. Even fight goes Kanga's way because of that.
That looked disastrous to start off for Kanga, especially Chronix being the first death. I'm thinking you want your Cassie just to sit up on the balcony and rain down bolts the entire fight. You're not going to have any uptime. And then some good micro play there from the rest of Kanga. Keep them in the fight. Knights have to go looking yet again for their second point in this one. Cuss Cutie.
This is that third time in space fight. So Chronix rolled in to chase that, so he didn't have time to roll out. So Chronix getting picked off there. Could not make it. I think he had the somersault reset, but it just came too late.
Like I said, certain things might be guaranteed, and Cuss Cutie finding a kill with Through Time and Space might just be one of them.
Might be the only thing, because Death and Taxes are gone.
Death and Taxes are gone, that's right. Well played on that one. 6-3 and 6 for Zarini. Barrack, whether it's been Jules or been Zarini, I think it has been a big contention point in this set, always towards the top of the damage charts. Again, kind of regardless of who's been playing it. And I mean, you've reiterated, because I brought it up so many times, that's just why he's so important, why he's such a strong champion. The overpower from G-Bunny this time does end up going down into that whale. Simsalo as well is able to clean up Evil Eye. Zarini's the only loss right now for the Knights. Kanga yet again are able to get onto the point, about 60% for them, but they're in a bit of an awkward position with a number disadvantage, and when Simsalo's hitting shots like he is, you're not going to be long for this world. And Ice Storm as well is pretty successful, maybe getting the kill. Actually, before they're able to get the kill onto Rhino, it looks like he's able to stay alive, and Simsaloo actually dies.
Yeah, that started so good for the Knights, I think, with their picks, but Kanga actually just stayed on the point and established their positioning. Knights ended up getting really low, and Genos can't heal them back up fast enough. Bunny's trying to get contention here, but getting body blocked by the Inara, has to dash back. He dies too. Point control firmly in Kanga's hands. Zarini dashes in to try to get on it at the last second. Barricade comes in, but he gets forced back too. They're just going for last second retouch of Sims. He's definitely going to die after this ice block, and he does. Zarini too low to refight. Actually, Ricotta, he hazes to touch, but they know exactly where he is. He's going to be on the furthest part of the point he can stand on. Cuss goes down too. Zarini's going to immediately follow. Unless these tanks can win a 2v3, this is going to go Kanga's way.
Guess they might be able to. Zarini's able to bowling ball himself out, keep the shields alive, but Jules is going to confirm the kill here. But the second wave of attack from the Knights, oh no, he just steps off just too long. At that point, the overtime meter was going to expire so fast. You could not leave that point even for a moment. And the point control play style of Kanga finally starting to pay off a little bit. Stick Jules on the Inara on the point. Let's get up to 60% by the time the fight really starts to get going. And this time they're able to win that fight and give themselves point number 2 with a chance for 3.
Yeah, the Knights comp kind of struggles with that, because Barrack can live on the point while they're rotating, right? The rotation play can still work, but the thing is, Kanga has really strong CC ultimates. I mean, they have Assert Dominance, they have Seismic Crash. If they use that and just instantly kill the Barrack, now things just go immediately against the Knights. And think about how the kills went that mid, right? Knights got 2 picks, but Knights lost Zarini. They lost all their point control. Nobody else can really fight it. So even just then, like, you can see Kanga's adapting on their mids, I think playing it pretty solidly. Rhino also, I think, is making a lot of room. The stat line might not say it, but that's just them's the breaks when you play Ashe, honestly. Right. I mean, your stat line isn't going to look great, but being in front of someone with a shield, chipping them, forcing them back, denying passive healing is a really big deal.
G-Bunny, notably, the only, I should say, above the healers in this game, and he's normally somebody who really is able to flex his muscles on those off tanks. At 2-7 and 9, the Khan has had a rough go of things here for the Knights. Kanga, with getting rid of the Khan, actually have a little bit easier of a road up this route. Maybe point number 2, unfortunate for Simsaloo. Oh no, Evil Eye confirms the kill on that one. Rhino as well. Jokes aside, Kanga actually looks so much better off right now. A good Assert Dominance sets up this fight so well. There's only 3 members left for the Knights. A good high ground Assert Dominance. All ultimates ready for the Knights. 4 ultimates ready for Kanga. And that push, it flips on its head with an unfortunate turn of events.
I honestly don't know if they're going to use the Assert Dominance, because it's so important on the mid. Buying time is what they need, because they want to keep getting caps in. With that initial pick on G-Bunny, they're almost assuredly not going to need it. They're probably going to Dome Shield here, but he's going to go down really quick through it. He doesn't even get a chance to throw it off. Joel's with a triple kill here, confirms it for Kanga. No ultimates used from either side. Nobody was willing to pull the trigger.
Whoa, that was harsh to watch if you're a Knights fan or a Knights player. I mean, the defense is kind of stagnated out. Things are looking good if you're the Knights. Then a sudden whirlwind of offense from Kanga seals this one into the well this time. Luckily, actually hit the side again. I mean, that's a tough angle.
That's how you have to do it.
It's a tough angle.
You can't get it straight down unless you jump in yourself.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you know.
So you have to
That's a worthwhile trade. Just kidding.
I've done it. There's
sure.
some old patches.
That's a BM.
There's been some times where the character's just stuck to you, and then you just got to accept it at that point. You just jump into the well, hope no news crew comes to get you out.
Right.
Hopefully they
Lassie
keep
the
those
dog
trades.
is barking. Somebody's stuck down in the well.
Hopefully those trades stay exactly the way that you wanted them to go.
I mean, that's one of the 2 kills he's had in this game. He's been the first pick kind of repeatedly over the last couple of fights. Early flank from Rhino as well is going to make him slightly uncomfortable in this engagement. Yeah, why not? Why not? Tally another one up for Cuss Cutie with a snipe onto Evil Eye. Chronix as well. No more damage left from Kanga right now. You're hoping your frontliners and your healers can say something about it. But without any damage to support, it might not be very long. Guerra is the one who draws Simsalo's attention here. Just forces him back. 500 health for the Furia. They stay alive. Kanga are able to stabilize somehow. Knights, though, with a good start to this round.
Yeah, the sustain on Kanga is just too much for them to burn through. I mean, I think Knights' communication is so on point. Cuss wouldn't be hitting these through time and spaces if the comms weren't there, if he didn't know Maeve was just backing up after having dove. If Oli doesn't want to use 9 lives just to avoid it through time and space, that's a long cooldown. They're going to look to push in actually here. Seismic Crash finds Simsalo on the right side. The first pick going to Kanga. Zarini's probably going to fall as well. Evoli going for the chase, confirms both daggers. Cuss basically useless in the backline. Evoli's going to try to go for him. Healing denied from the rest of his team. Bunny's going to buy as much time as he can on point. He's going to go down 2, though. They have to stay alive. I think Rakata's still going to stagger here, too, actually. Inflame coming in. I don't think they're going to have a chance to even get the retouch.
Yeah, 75% here. The Knights having to fight downhill into this one. Simsalo
early.
is gone. I don't even know if he was able to get a
was
touch
too
on it. If
early,
he
even if he
was,
did.
96%, 99%, and Kanga Esports with a convincing final mid-fight put themselves 1 game away from ending this set.
Wow, really, really good by them. And they're winning their map pick, something we haven't seen too much in these last 2 days.
Yeah, right.
So good for them. I think they adapted really well to how the Knights were playing mid. They knew what ultimates they had to save. That control, again, I mentioned this earlier in this set, the ultimate economy from Kanga when they're feeling good is so influential in their victories. They're playing it really well. Whoever their leader is in-game is doing a great job of keeping everyone controlled.
I feel like gone tit for tat from the start of this one. It's been, bounce back and forth. Every team taking, in a weird way, reverse from yesterday. Everyone's taking their own respective map picks. They lose, then they win their map pick, back and forth. Like I said, though, Kanga just 1 game away from sealing up this set. Pittsburgh, I think, would have expected, especially with the way they played last week, to at least escape this week 1-1. I think going down 0-2 this week, I mean, a tough day against Na'Vi yesterday, a tough day against Kanga today. They're not out of it yet. They got to win 2 more, though, in order to win the set here today against Kanga. Of course, 1 win away for the Ruse. Game 6 after this break.
Skillshot, the official production partner of the Paladins Premier League.
Welcome back, guys. Game 5, win in the way of Kanga. They broke the tie. Now that they're up currently 3-2, this could either be their last game or PK could win a couple more.
Yeah, and it's honestly going to take a little bit more just effort from the Knights, I guess, as a whole. Like, it just feels like there's something lacking this last game that was there. Maybe not even fully there for Bazaar, but that they had early on, especially when they started this set, that just has been slipping through, or I should say in the second game of this set, where they haven't been able to bring it back.
Yeah, I mean, it was hard for them, at first, because Kanga did have the lead, they did have the advantage, and then they end up tying it up. But now that they're ahead, I'm not sure if that's whether Kanga has finally found the momentum they need or not. Let's see. I mean, the damage numbers itself, 74,000 for Ricotta, 71,000 for Simsalou, 73 for Chronix, 42. No, I'm actually looking at the wrong thing. 73 and then 61,000 for Evil Eye. Excuse me.
And honestly, I think Evil Eye, the 12-8-12, Joel's going 12-6 as well.
Yeah.
Had some pretty incredible impact, because when you look at where those kills are going, Ricotta was 10-9. The Shaolin did not hit the marks I think they wanted it to. Zerini was not able to have, I think, the Barrick performance that we've been seeing this entire set when he's been played. And I mean, even though he's 13-8, 13-8 is not the typical Simsy, I want to say, slash line. And then you get the big oof at the very bottom, the 2-9 there for G Bunny. When you're looking at a game like this, the off tank matters. I would argue maybe just as much as the flex in a lot of these fights, and that's part of the reason why I think Kanga are able to take control. I mean, Evil Eye was just on point for a lot of this game, being able to find some really choice daggers. And even when he wasn't the one maybe winning the fights, he's a distraction. You have to look at Maeve because otherwise she does what we just saw.
Right, exactly. Her being in these positions to be able to put so much pressure onto Cuss, onto the rest of PK, was so much. It was so important because of these priority picks they were able to net. I mean, the Maeve was just a good choice all around for this map.
It's going to be interesting to see how they adapt to it. And honestly, where the Knights choose to go, with Ascension Peak being that last map, you have Fish Market, you've got Shattered Desert, Stone Keep, Timbermill, Warder's Gate. My money's on Shattered Desert or Warder's Gate. Those are the two that they've been kind of hovering towards and have been successful with the last few times we've watched. But Stone Keep's just as much in that conversation for them. The problem is that I think Warder's Gate, it falls right on the line. It could be a Knights map, but Kanga are really good at Warder's Gate, and you have to be very careful taking them to that kind of map. If you go to Stone Keep, it's been here for a while. Everyone's going to kind of know it, and they're going to play the risk.
Yeah, I mean, they are. Warder's Gate is there up on the board for the next map to be played, Game 6. We're going to go head right into picks and bans, see what it is that we've got going right now.
I'm trying to think. I mean, Eevee, just as big on this map. I would say Maeve, just as big on this map as they have been in the past. So don't be surprised if you see them come through. Bans are probably going to stay the same, honestly. Torvald, Makoa, Atlas are too powerful to give up to one another. But Kanga's the one that's been kind of playing with it, and that's what they're going to keep doing. Like, if they go Leon Cassie again like they did early on, you leave both Atlas and Makoa open, you force the Knights to choose one. And if you're just confident that no matter which one you get, Atlas or Makoa, you can control the game, that's honestly all you need.
Yeah, well, Knights decide to opt for getting rid of Makoa. At this point, I feel like they might try and go for the Atlas ban maybe on this map, because if they just decide to go, let's say they go Leon Cassie like they did before to target Ricotta, right? If they leave that Atlas open, yeah, exactly. They're going to get rid of Atlas to make sure that Knights don't have access to such a strong card loader.
And that's just that exact moment where it's like, you know what? We are not playing that game. We're not going to ban Cassie and let you have Atlas. It's not worth that kind of risk. But it's still interesting to have it come through. Again, I think flanks are probably going to be some of the most important ones on this map. But the same thing can be said. I think Cassie will probably play equally a big role, if not maybe a little bit bigger, depending on who plays her. And we just saw a couple games ago, Evil Eye is willing to flex onto her if need be and can make it work. And I would say this is a dangerous start for King on this map.
Now, I'm going to ask a question in the sense that we've been seeing Barrick all day, Barrick Genos, right?
Yeah.
Might be a dumb question, but the thing is that is the ban for Barrick just not worth it to waste?
I mean, it's that moment where you have to decide. Like, obviously, Torvald, Makoa, Atlas have kind of proven why they're there. I think Barrick is proving why he deserves to be down there.
Yeah.
But you have to have a team that's willing to do it. And we've seen him banned out a couple of times. I can't remember exactly this split. I have it up, so I can just take a peeksy doodle. But it is one of those areas where he is showing that, yes, he should be and probably deserves to be down there. But it limits you as well. If you ban Barrick and they grab a Nara very early on, then you're looking at forcing yourself potentially into a Fernando pick that you might not be comfortable with. So you have to play it
smart.
Unfortunately, I would like play it smart, but unfortunately it means sometimes if you're the Knights, you have to let Barrick through.
Yeah. Khan, Cassie, Maeve, Barrick, Genos right now for Kanga. They're going to lock in two more characters, going to try and see who they might try and opt for. They are missing another frontliner. They don't have their DPS locked in yet. With Cassie, Maeve off of the menu, I would imagine that they might try and go for an Eevee at some point, possibly, so Evil Eye might be able to go on to that. The Maeve is gone, the Cassie is gone as well. Who are you expecting for?
I wouldn't mind seeing him go Ashe and a support here, actually. I'd like him to like maybe keep that flex for later. Oh, they already have their support.
Yeah,
I'm lit. Don't mind me. Ashe and insert the other thing they're missing here, the Lex. I actually like, it feels maybe a little bit revealing at this point, but at the same time, we all know Lex is going to do really well. Again, I was comparing, if you go back to last game, talking about him and the likes, in the comparison to the likes of Leon and Cassie, so I think he's going to be able to fit in just fine, and with Genos behind him, Luminary, it's going to keep him safe, it's going to keep him chunking people very heavily. And at the same time, you leave that flex for Evil Eye, because you know that's going to be a Chronix Lex, so Evil Eye still gets to kind of make sure he gets the best choice for this engagement, whether it's EV or anything else he might feel could work here on Warder's Gate.
Our Furia combo that they might try and pick. Really can't say might at this point. These teams today have been pretty, if we're hovering it, we're going to lock it. And there we go. The Inara is picked. They might opt for the Furia, and they decide to as well. The Inflame. This is a very, on Knight side, this is very aggressive. This is very aggressive comp from them.
The biggest question I have, and the only reason it comes into my mind at all, is just because we've seen a Solar Blessing Fury, I believe it was in the minor league, so you might be able to ignore it, but that does work well with Inara. I imagine Cherish, though, because it's going to keep up with the Maeve, keep up with the Cassie, and then you have to factor in Inflame, you have to factor in those stuns connecting. That actually can control this point fight a little bit more, because it's one of, and actually is the only point where it's kind of tiered, and you can fight below the objective as well, and because of that, Furia can maybe accidentally stun somebody in a crucial moment, or purposely stun a couple of people, one on top of the other, depending on where she throws it, like Barrick, as well as Lex or Ashe, or maybe this Bomb King, who we have not gotten to see in a hot minute.
You don't really see him. I feel like he's sort of been phased out in place of Willow Lex at this point, right? Like, I feel like that's been the general consensus, is that after this patch that just went through, it's like Bomb King has sort of slowly been phased out, and now you're seeing more Willows, you're seeing more Lexes as well in place of him.
And honestly, this is going to be more telling than anything as to whether or not that deserves to happen, or if Bomb King is kind of the menace we remember on the LAN when it comes down to it. I mean, he has single-handedly won some games. Evil Eye has been one of those guys who has done it with Bomb King. So looking at him, you add the Luminary, it's a ton of damage. The only downside I see to him is just how open the map can be and how much that means they might pick on him.
Well, this is it. This is game 6. Whether Kanga actually takes it over PK, we'll find out. Let's throw it right down to the casters.
It's do or die time now for the Knights as game 6 about to get underway. Kanga one win away from sealing up this Friday with a win, sending Knights home with a 0-2 week. Warder's Gate, this is a map traditionally that Kanga's been pretty good on, actually. This is the Knights map pick to top it all off. So I find that interesting when I really look at it, that you take Kanga to Warder's Gate.
I think they did fall off a little bit later in the season, but still, I mean, historically, that doesn't change too much. I mean, Kanga has used to pick this really early. I think they actually took, I want to say they took a win off of Navi or Nip on this map very early, when they were looking much weaker than they are now. Interesting thing, too, drafts kind of flipped a little bit. I mean, the Cassie Maeve ending up in the Knights' hands, so they want to deny them some stuff. A lot of counterplay happening back and forth in the draft, so I want to see how that plays out.
And already the man himself, Evil Eye on the Bomb King. Of course, you can watch his play like a pro if you want to learn how to play it like a pro. Already doing some good chunk damage onto Zarenia. Unfortunately for Kanga, the good start is immediately clipped off as Simsolo finds the first kill on a Chronix, and G-Bunny as well, getting his name in the kill column. Joel's luckily is able to stall things out here a little bit, just dancing around behind his shield, stalling out what the Knights maybe would have been able to garner with the rest of their team fight. Now the Knights are going to start getting some percentage, but the Kanga still have more than enough time to get in there and give it another chance.
Yeah, Jules barely makes it away thanks to the fail-safe. Actually, good grip onto the Inara. She can't wall herself off, barely manages to make it out. Simsalute catching Rhino on the way in, so their retake is going to be a lot harder here. Knights still looking dominantly in control. Joel's is going to be way too low to go for a touch. Knights are going to already take this. Kanga really has to get out of here to avoid getting staggered any further.
Well, Kanga, I mean, they had their foot in the door to start off, a couple good trades back and forth. But the Knights' composition just too steadfast. No room for Kanga to get back into it there. I mean, pretty even game, honestly, up to this point. I mean, it's not like anyone on Kanga, aside from Rhino, who just found his second death. Nobody on Kanga's really lopsided. G-Bunny having a good game, Simsolo as well. Zareni at 105 has made his presence felt. Top damage still goes the way of Kanga, but the rest of that block of 4 in the middle is what's saving the Knights here.
I'm kind of surprised that Chronix, he got picked off really early. I'm surprised that that was the person they chose to dive. I feel like Evoli might be the easier target here, solely because, like, think about Maeve versus BK. That DR, I think it skews that matchup a bit in Maeve's favor if both people are hitting every shot.
Oh, nice.
It does go that way. The long-range matchup does not go Furia's way in the Furia BK chart if you get that scroll opened up to hit the floor. So Cuss goes down early, Simsaloo to follow without the heals to back him up. Ricotta trying to just get a traded kill here, but he's not going to be able to get it. In pursuit means every shot is going to land. A lot of pressure here on the right side by Chronix. He's going to be a real key person to watch because he doesn't have as much of a getaway potential as some of the other DPSs in this game.
Well, you can't escape it. The Law or Chronix when he's playing Lex this time around. 3 kills on the defensive stand here for the red team. They have 5 ultimates ready to go as well. The Knights, too, have 5. Evil Eye, you know, he found some good plug shots to start off that last mid-fight onto Zarini, notably, but, you know, I harken back to the damage charts. I'm sure they've shifted since then, but Evil Eye had, like, the second least in the game, only above maybe one of the other supports. Just had not been able to find himself any impact. He died, I think, very early on in the mid, never really had a chance to get back in, so whatever his damage was very front-loaded here. Good fight back, though, from the Knights, has Kanga forced all the way back into their base. You don't want to necessarily go down 2-0. You might have to throw some stuff at the wall. See if something sticks here because the Knights have really wedged their way into your base.
5 ultimates online here too. They put so many resources into Evoli earlier. When they were trying to back away, they put every shield on Evoli, and since they were so stacked, the entire right side of the map was wide open. Zarini, Ricotta take that for free, get the pick on Evoli regardless of what they pour into him. But it's going to be really hard for them to push in here. Really strong defensive positioning with that, but it looks like they're going to use the Inflame to try to bake it. Simsaloo getting forced out, decides to go main instead to look for a pick. Ricotta gets taken down by a great through time and space from Gary. This man historically finds those confirmations.
That's right.
Dome Shield spent as well, though. That's 2 ultimates out for just the 1 from the Knights, so this next fight is looking a little better for them. Kanga taking this down almost certainly by now, bringing it to a 1-1, but still, that's a big, I think, a big commitment from Kanga to try to hold that when they already had the better positioning.
Yeah, I mean, the ultimates used through time and space, of course, from Gera, finds the snipe, and then the Dome Shield from Joel's. I mean, that one goes down, really confirms the win for them. I think they just try to avoid going down 2-0 in that case, which, you know, if nothing else, they get a point on the board, so at least they don't use that and then come up short anyway. Chronix making Lex look good up to this point. Only behind, who would have guessed it, Joel's on the Barrack, even at 1, 2, and 5, top damage in this game. Evil Eye started to come back into it a little bit on the Bomb King. G-Bunny wedging himself in the middle of the Kanga roster. 4 resiliences for Kanga as well. Evil Eye opting for Cot 2 over Resilience 1 here.
He has ways to cleanse the Maeve ult, because that's probably what it is. If he uses his ult, the King Bomb channel should get rid of it because of that CC immunity he quickly gets. Chronix trying to find Simsi again, a matchup that I thought would be going in Lex's favor. It does. Seismic Crash coming in, finding 2 picks in the back. They CC him unit. That means it's going to be weaker to the Midnight later. He can't go in because of all the damage coming in from the point. Great control on the back right side from Ricotta and Cuss. The Midnight does come in onto Rhino. Can't see what he's doing with this assert dominance. Everyone's hiding. It runs out because of the resilience, but great shield to block that overpower, but he's still going to die for this, right to the crystal.
Up and over. You have the dash, you don't. Doesn't matter anyway. Oh, he would have just gone down that far. It would have sent him down to the bottom of the ocean. G-Bunny with 2, make it 3. Excuse me, Ricotta gets number 3 away from G-Bunny. It was good, like, hesitation almost there for a moment from Kanga. But Pittsburgh Knights, they, you know, just too much of a threat. And I think a good micro example of that is the King Bomb ready to go, ready to roll around the corner, but he has to detonate it early. He can't get involved in that fight. That's a basically an ineffective ultimate, a waste of a King Bomb there, just because of good play from the Knights.
Yeah, and honestly, it just makes the Seismic Crash even better, because not only did that Seismic Crash just find a ton of pressure on the right side, open up a lot of room because the people on the right had to back up, but it also just got King Bomb out. How often does that happen? You throw a Seismic Crash and you're just like, I guess I also burnt an ultimate from their DPS, you know?
Works for me.
It doesn't happen too often. Wallhack's actually bringing Chronix to the side, letting him see where Cuss is hiding, but it baits him right into Ricotta, which is actually swinging that in their way. A little bit too overzealous with that great block on the kinetic burst by Bunny, bringing up that shield. No cooldown on that, so you have a lot of counterplay to that Ashe. The matchup kind of goes back and forth between Ashe and Khan. Bunny getting on the better side of that one. Kills going their way. Knights setting up to spam them in spawn. Don't want to give them this high ground here. It's really important. I mean, they're going to have it anyway because there's spawn doors there, but they don't want to give them it comfortable.
It's a much earlier push than what the Knights had last time. Kanga were able to stall them out a little bit further back. able to put a little bit of offense in on the opposite side here. And with Chronix losing, Evil Eye, so much more pressure on him to try to turn this fight around. They're going to get the kill on Azrini, but not before Evil Eye goes down as well. Now it's the frontliners and Guerra who need to keep this one in the balance as Chronix comes back into this fight here. But Simsalo's still alive. No more Joels, no more Rhino. Somebody's got to get in there and get a touch. Instead, they're going to slide away. And now 1 point away from a Game 7 are the Knights.
You know, the more I watch this game, I remember we asked this question on the desk the first couple of days, even in the PML, PCL a little bit, where has Bomb King gone?
Yeah.
And I think he's gone to say, I'm glad we get to watch this. Rhino should have actually put on his cement shoes and fallen, I think, but doesn't manage to. The stagger didn't matter too much. But aside from that point, I think it's just the aggression punishes the BK so much. Grumpy Bomb does not do as much as you think to stopping people pushing, especially once Resilience is online. Him and Tyra, BK Tyra, just shifting out of the meta because of just the control that these off-tanks bring. They've always brought it, but I think they're just the healers and all the other ultimates, the aggression is just making them have way less of an impact.
He does have King Bomb this time. He'll look to have more of an impact, per se, than the last one, which you had to detonate behind one of those stone pillars. A good assert dominance could set this one up well for Kanga. They will have fast cap, but you got to win the fight in order to even make use of it. They're going to use Scout as well. G-Bunny with the first kill on Evil Eye. I mean, that's the opposite way to get involved is the early death. And G-Bunny as well is forcing Guerra back. He's not in range to do much healing. Doesn't connect with through time and space either. The Midnight maybe pulling things back into a little bit of a balance here, but the Knights want to keep their foot on the gas pedal, keep the kills coming through. Rhino gets tossed up and over. Cuss Cutie is the one who gets that kill. Ricotta as well is still alive, and the Knights are well on their way to a win here.
Joel's not contesting the point there, gives even more cap time to the Knights. Great positioning and pocketing, I think, by Cuss. Cuss made, like, we saw G-Bunny living through that assert dominance purely on the back of Cuss's heals and stuns. Overpower coming in to help the stagger. Evoli just not finding anything this game. Bunny finding him, though, with that kill. It's going to make this retake very difficult for them. Chronix also very low. All the tanks looks like they're dismounted as well. Seismic Crash and Main to keep the stagger going. The point fight is what's going to matter. No one's even close. There's no chance for Kanga to get in there, and the Knights are going to take this to a Game 7.
Wouldn't you have guessed that it's what we deserve, and on a map traditionally you would expect Kanga to be really comfortable on, but the Knights, they take him to it. They take him to their home court, per se, and they find the win in Game 6. We're tied up at 3. You know, the drafts were swapped. The Bomb King maybe raises some questions. I think he caught an unfortunate turn of events there towards the end. The overpower just eliminates him. I mean, he dies first. There were moments where the Bomb King made some sense, but it didn't, I think, maybe have the impact they were hoping for.
Yeah, I think they needed a more consistent backline. Lex has that ability, but I just don't think it was enough, and it just having Evoli go down so early in these fights, so easy for them with the flank pressure. I'm not sure. Maybe they could have gone like Drogos or something, just to have like a harder to dive target, but still, them's the breaks for Kanga right now. They're going to have to go to another map. Their pick, which they've been winning so far this set, could be good for them.
We got checkerboard all down the map screen, 1 for 1, all down to it. But Game 7 is where we're headed. You don't want to miss it. Right on the other side of this break.
Respawn, the official gaming chair of the Paladins Premier League.
Welcome back. We are now to Game 7 with Kanga and PK tying it 3-3. We're really going to have to see who's going to bring out all the stops to make sure that they take this win home.
Backs against the wall at this point. And that's actually where things get, I think, more precarious overall for for teams like Kanga, because I can't count how many times. Well, that's not true. I can count how many times they've been very close to closing out a set and just not been able to do it. And it's just unfortunate for them to have it happen, twice in the last 2 weeks. When they go up against Envy, it was a little bit more one-sided, but again, it's because when they go up against the Renegades, you're up 3-1, then you're up 3-2, and then it's okay, now it's tied 3-3, and then you lose it. So like, you need those moments as Kanga to be able to at least find some sort of control, some semblance of control to close out a set.
Yeah, I mean, that was so convincing just a few seconds ago, like we were a few minutes ago, that we were seeing just what Knights can do. You can see it right here. The damage may not be too overpowering, but it was the way how they made the plays and the way they went about it on Warder's Gate that made their play so impactful.
And honestly, as much as you can look at certain people performing, I honestly feel like you can look just as much at maybe not performing. I mean, Alcerino is 1-6, Joel's is 1-6, Evil Eye's 5-7, but I believe if I just saw his damage correctly, it was 39,000.
Yeah.
So incredibly low right there. 9-3-2, 10-3-7, or 9-3-5, sorry, and then the 6-1-18. Like, it was just control and kills all there for the Knights.
Yeah, I mean, they have actually all of them have super positive KDAs, like from Simsalud to Zarini, man. But G Bunny really surprised me this go around for this game.
And it was just the amount of control that he was able to bring. It's actually one of the things that was missing and has been missing in pretty much most of the games Kanga has won. Ascension Peak, though, it was very big. He wasn't winning the side fights the way that you kind of expect out of your off tank. This game, he was winning every side fight that you want out of your off tank and very controlling. Also, this is just an interestingly fun fact, but Warder's Gate has been, in the last 2 weeks, picked 5 times. 4 of them have been the Knights. The other one was Kanga. So either way, being able to come through, it's one of the maps that these two teams know really well, and it seems like the Knights have been able to start taking the edge on this one. Like, Ascension Peak and Bazaar kind of feel like their territory. Shattered Desert I want to throw in there, but I think I want to see it a couple more times before I give it to them. But, like, knowing that you can go there, you can feel comfortable, confident in it, and having performances like that out of like G-Bunny, out of Ricotta, out of Simsalud, you can tie up a set, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, and tie it up they have, man. For it to be Game 7, it just really shows that both of these teams really want to cash out on this win. The final map being Stone Keep. This is Kanga's pick, I believe, since they are the ones who lost. I believe the loser ends up picking the map.
Yep, so Kanga choosing to go to Stone Keep. Again, kind of a standard when it comes down to how, well, everything goes for this map. But at the same time, one that you always kind of have to keep your eye on, because while it's not Jaguar Falls level of anything can happen, it still has that air about it to me.
Right.
It's just, you can change and play around a lot. Willow is someone that stands out to me here as someone who could potentially impact the game in a very major way.
Yeah, I mean, the Leon ban, once again, Torvald, they've been sticking with that since Ricotta showed that that character does deserve to be banned when it's in his hands. They opt to go for Makoa Atlas on the Knight side. Both characters, well, all 4 characters are now banned. I believe Kanga's going to have the first pick here. They're hovering the Ashe, and they're probably going to pick it.
Yeah, I mean, Ashe has been big for both these teams. And again, Khan versus Ashe is always going to be the conversation I think you're having. And on a lot of these maps where Khan was big, it's, hey, I can overpower you very easily off of this map. This one you can't. This one, there's, maybe a last 2/3 of a push that you can feel truly confident that you can overpower someone off the edge. Otherwise, you have to really hope that your team's follow-up is going to be there. So Ashe being able to have her kind of controlling presence literally anywhere in the map, I think gives her just a little bit of a leg up.
Yeah, I would imagine that for Knights, they're probably going to lock the healer frontliner, maybe. That's what I've been seeing them do a couple times. They've really been trying to go for it. There's the frontliner, just a little bit off, just one off. They actually go for the Cassie instead, which that makes sense. They don't want Kanga to be able to have access to that.
And it's also, I guess, them committing to the Inara this early on. Cassie is, again, good to kind of control Ashe, very good to control Barrick.
Yeah.
And it's just when you pick up one of the 3 overall point tanks that are very commanding in this game, and admittedly you can round that down to 2. Fernando exists, but he's okay. Like, I'd say he's just middle of the pack average, whereas Inara is a step above him. Barrick is probably 2 or 3 steps above her in terms of the impact he can have on a game, but Cassie can help quell that down a little bit and kind of keep it under wraps.
Well, in a situation like this, who would Kanga try and pick in response? They already have the Ashe.
I mean,
if she's that controlling over Ashe, then I mean, if Cassie's that controlling over Ash, they're hovering the Mave. Like, what can you sort of see this comp trying to be on Stone Keep?
This could be Mave Genos, honestly, if they just want to be able to run it. Mave Barrack works just as fine. Either way, you're grabbing one DPS, one thing they already know that you're probably going to look to. Kind of does also feel, or depend on how Jera feels about Genos right now. That last game didn't quite go, again, in their favor at all. I wouldn't be surprised if they avoid that, maybe go for the Furia, since that was something that was working a little more successful for them overall. But that leaves the Knights open to kind of choose, you know, which one to come through. This is actually usually a support pick spot here in 6 and 7, so they have the opportunity to scoop potentially a major pick away. And again, you're looking at Cuss not only having a ton of experience, Ricotta having a ton of experience, but Vapor has a ton of homework on Kanga. Simsy, who is probably one of the best drafters that we've seen in general, like being able to kind of supply why a draft should happen the way it does. This team on the Knights is phenomenal at drafts and is really, really good at stripping away some of the things that you would like. So kind of playing their mind games, you can see them discussing that now.
Yeah, the Furia Khan, I believe they're going to lock in. We're seeing a sort of, not necessarily a trend, but we're seeing almost a repeat of the comp they had last time. This very aggressive, all-in, go in your face. This time, Kanga does have the Mave, and I was just about to bring up that Drogos. I was just about to bring it up.
And they're in a good spot to pull it out, right? I mean, Mave and Drogos, the one thing that hurt them a lot earlier was when they gave Ricotta Leon. You ban the Leon, and all of a sudden it's a lot easier for you to run both of them. There's no really big hit scan, I would say, on the Knights. Obviously, Khan's going to be able to hit him. Furia will be able to get some damage up there, but Cassie is not known for hunting him down. But the thing that the Knights have done, and the thing I'd love to see is like a big flex. I'd actually love to see something like an Androxus here. I really don't think we will, but I think it would fit perfectly for them.
Yeah, I mean, it really just depends on what it is they're trying to go for. I mean, Lex is open as well. I could possibly see him being run on this map as well. Stone Keep, considering the buffs he got and the damage it is that he can do. I can imagine Lex being able to really just burn down those Barrack and Ash shields, applying that pressure from the flame.
It's up to them, and you can, I think, feel the stress again. 3-3.
Yeah.
And this last pick actually is going to determine a lot for your draft. You see Ash, Mave, Barrack, Genos, Drogos there for Kanga. And that Drogos is going to go completely free in the sky if you don't get the right choice here. And at the same time, even if you get the right choice for him, is it going to help against the Barrack, the Mave, the Ash, the other things that are going to be impactful? And Joel's, I wouldn't say had like a rare off game last game on the Barrack. Again, not necessarily performing. The same thing can go for Rhino on the Ash, but you swap them up a little bit, and maybe they just had an off game. Maybe Warriors Gate just wasn't their map. They come into this one, maybe you need to be a little bit more worried.
They lock the EV for the final character on the Knights. The score is 3-3. Both compositions are locked in. Which ones do you actually like more, Gore? Like, which comp do you like more in this case?
I honestly like Kanga's more. I think Kanga's is able to perform more, and it can get a lot more done. The problem is going to be whether or not they have the play to back it, right?
Yeah.
And that's partially said from a moment of, and 3-3 scenarios, I have seen Kanga choke a few times, but at the same time, it's coming from a bad Ash game, a bad Barrack game, a pretty heavy loss being delivered to them by the Knights. They're going to have to shake it up mentally to be able to come into this, but if they can play at the top of their game, they've got it.
Well, guys, this is it. The final game, 3-3. Let's pass it down to the casters. Dolson, Kresnik, what do you guys think?
I think that this game is very impactful for both teams. You look at Knights, if they lose, they have a 0-2 week. They have a 1-3 start to the split. You look at Kanga, you go down 0-3 to start off the split. Envy, Renegades, Kanga, game 7, maybe a 0.7 if it continues the same. Daddy Cuss looking to get Kanga a win.
King Daddy. We haven't told that story. I think we can avoid that for now, heading into Stone Keep. I liked Kanga's draft. I liked the Drogos that they had. They really, with Knights ending with the Eevee, the counter isn't really there for the Drogos. And we've seen what Evoli can do uncontested on Drogos, even just earlier in this set. So we'll have to see if he can bring that same game here. I think he's had a pretty decent set throughout. I don't think he's had any maps that were too terrible for him.
Is it, does Ricotta draw that role? Is he the one who needs to clip the wings of the Drogos?
That's what we said last time. It might be like a hybrid of the Khan and the Furia, because they're both the hit scans. You want the most easy confirmations on them.
Sure.
Looks like Knights are going to actually play on the ground, though, inside the church and play point time. That is one way to avoid them, though neither team actually playing on the high ground. Yeah, neither team on the high ground at all. Everybody's fighting on the low ground, and Volley got flanked. Khan just walked through. He gets forced way out by that hit scan pressure. Again, that's going to have to be the people who deal with it.
And Rhino, though, he's the first one to go down. Evil Eye's able to get out under the immense pressure that the Khan was putting onto him. Ricotta a little bit too deep there, and the Drogos is still alive. Gets a kill and a half there. One onto Ricotta and the half onto Cutie that Joel seals up here. Simslow into the ice block, blinks out, blinks back in. Stays alive. Zerini as well fighting on the point. They have 93% right now. Somebody from Kanga need to get in, find a touch there. But Joel's gone. That's going to be Rhino drawing that card. And Simslow's keeping himself aggressive, maybe even finding another kill.
Yeah, I mean, the movement from Eevee gives her the ability to stay in their face and kind of blink back and forth like this. They might actually find Gary here, caught out trying to deal with Bunny, I believe, in the banana. And now Knights' retake is right there. Joel's is just playing on his shield. I don't know how long it's going to last him with a stun coming in too. Gets moved out of the way. Big game means he's not going to be able to retouch. Rhino really low. The health on Kanga is awful. Inflame coming in at the last second just to kind of guarantee that 200 health Maeve dies. I'm not going to fault it. Still got him a mid-win.
Yeah, you got to accept it. Whatever it is, the Knights are going to be happy with that. They go up 1-0 here on Stone Keep. Zerini starts off with a good slash line. Everyone on the Knights does as well. Top damage in the game goes over to Chronix, notably playing the Maeve nowadays. Evil Eye would usually draw that role if Chronix were on something a little bit more direct, but it's Chronix on the Maeve this time around. Through time and space, snipes out Simsaloo. That's a good shot there from Kanga, able to slow things down here, but the Knights want to keep that foot down. And it's getting staggered out here with Zerini trading out a couple kills as well.
Yeah, great peel from Bunny there to save Cuss as he runs away. You're going to lose Joel's as well on
That's
Kanga's
3
side.
for Zerini.
That is, yeah, 3 for Zerini. Just sustaining on that point, getting those finishes. Really strong, I think, positioning. Use of his cooldowns by him, not dying. Using his wall to save. Overpower comes in a Rhino. That's going to make this stagger really effective if he can make it out. Barely does. So that kill in his favor. Really good. That's so smart for the stagger here, too. Now that top left is going to be kind of uncontested, and Simsy's already abusing that.
G-Bunny had a tough last game on the con, but starting off this game with 4 assists. Dragon Punch flying through, gets blocked off by the wall, does not end up getting a kill, does not even end up staying alive despite flying out. That's disastrous. You would hope that at least you find a kill if you're going to trade out your life in this case, but Cutie is able to turn things around. The Ice Storm as well off to the side, booped off. Looks like Simsalo is not going to be able to regain composure in this case, and Rhino stalling things out well here for Kanga. Chronix as well, the long-range daggers, gets Zerini off the map. And Kanga, after a bad start to that fight, are able to weather the storm.
Great, I think the boop by Rhino was super impactful there because one thing you might not know, if you wormhole with Eevee after you've been booped, you carry the momentum. So if you get booped and then blink, you just keep going backwards. So even if just Soar is off cooldown, sometimes that's enough to save the Eevee if her wormhole's in not an advantageous enough place.
It was not advantageous that time around.
Definitely not.
And Flame from the Knights back up after using it towards the end of that first mid fight. Ricotta as well gets one onto Joel's. Guerra again. He's 2 for 2 on through time and space. Been a bit of a saving grace for Kanga to stall things out. On their back foot with 15 seconds left are the Knights, looking for something to get them back into this one. In the form of Cutie onto Rhino, that's a great way, but Chronix is still alive, being so annoying with these daggers on the high ground. Helps Evil Eye get a kill onto Ricotta, a double kill onto Simsalo. And Kanga find themselves a defense.
I love how Maeve is being played in this meta because it can go either way. You know, your DPS, either of your DPSs can play it, whether it's your Blaster or your DD. And that lets teams pick it early and then have such a flexible draft after. Because, you know, maybe Knights were thinking, oh, all right, Maeve, it's a volley. And then Drogos gets picked last, and they're like, well, that's not a Chronix Drogos. So, you know, just having that flexibility in draft, I think, is awesome for this meta. That's why it was first picked earlier and didn't end up being that bad. Was that a double kill with one shot of an Anar? It was.
Yeah, I think like one of those little stones kind of flicked off to the opposite side. Good shots there.
Props. Zerini was in the right place. Rhino did kind of hand that to him.
Rhino was in the wrong place. Zerini was in the right place.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes it's just where you stand. Positioning so important on these tanks, and being on the point in that positioning is what got Knights that first mid. I mean, Zerini had like 80% cap time before anyone in Kanga even thought to do anything about it.
And they're opting for a similar strategy. I don't know why you wouldn't with the way the first round went. You got a lot of ultimates to play with. Evil Eye hoping something goes better for him on this Dragon Punch than it did the first time around. He gets Zerini, which is already a better start for them. Trades out with Simsalo, though. And this Eevee has not really been, you know, dealt with up to this point. G-Bunny as well gets one. Chronix on those daggers from the back line, tossing them out one after the other. Rhino over behind G-Bunny here, and that's going to be a good death there. Looks like he tried to use assert dominance, but he did not get it off there. That's unfortunate timing from Rhino.
I mean, Eevee has 1,800 HP, and they're just ignoring her on the side. I mean, they're all just looking at the tanks. They're not going to die. You have to look at the squishy target. Simsaloo completely free. That damage coming in helped that go back in Knights' favor. Knights do not have an aggressive zone here, though, so Kanga has an opportunity to get back in. Barrack looking like he's trying to come bottom left. They already know that's going to be the priority. Ashe does have Assert Dominance, so they have to watch out for that, but hopefully this Inflame lets Knights burn right through that.
And Simsaloo again hitting those shots. Dome Shield does go down onto the low ground, and Flame is enough, though, for G-Bunny. Rakata to find a couple kills. Assert Dominance gets Simsaloo uncomfortable into the ice block, keeps himself alive. Looks like the overpower, if nothing else, just gets rid of Rhino, but he's right back in. The shoulder bash gets him right back into position here. Joel's is still alive. The bowling ball sees to it. Cuss Cutie confirms that kill, though. Rhino has to back off. He's the last line of defense here for Kanga, and Pittsburgh Knights are on their way to point number 2.
Yeah, even though he got thrown off and managed to make it back, it still denied the Assert Dominance.
Yeah.
It should have been on point. That would have got them so much time. Knights have so much better sustain than them, and they used it instead to fight Keep after losing 2 picks. Not sure about the decisioning ult-wise from Kanga. I mean, their good ult usage and economy has been what has won them this game. And if you're going to use your ultimates like that, it's going to make things so hard for you to take it when the Knights are so good mechanically in these scrappy fights.
Hey, you can't rely on Gare to hit through time and space.
Did you
every
notice the
time.
one he tried to hit, by the way? I don't know if did you catch that?
Yeah.
He did it point blank on Simsaloo when he was in the ice block. I mean, that was
wishful thinking.
Yeah. Again, I like saying it like this, but it was enthusiastic. I appreciate that he's willing to do that.
Sure.
But
the timing just a little bit off.
Yeah, Simsaloo has too good reaction time to die to that, I think.
And it certainly plays out that way. You're going to look for Gera again. I mean, he's now, I believe, 2 for 3 on his through time and spaces in this game. A battle with the supports. Who's going to miss first? This time it's Gera. And that helped out Kanga so heavily. Yeah, right, you can't really miss an Inflame unless it's, the rest of your team is dead. I guess technically it could miss in that case. Regardless, though, Zarini drops off Evil Eye, so no more Dragon for 5 seconds left. While Kanga try to weather that storm. Simsaloo, though, onto Chronic. Simsaloo onto Joel's. The rest of Kanga are falling. 1, 2, 3. Gera's forced back here. The payload is going right down Main Street as Rakata gets another. Nobody's in range to touch. Nobody can touch. And the Knights are 1 point away from taking this set.
Wow. I think Zarini is someone that I mean, like G-Bunny, both tanks for Knights have been performing amazingly so far, I think. At least like all the overpowers from Bunny are hitting. He's getting a lot of these cleanup. But in that last fight, I mean, Zarini killed the Drogos. The Drogos was trying to fly away. The tank pressure from both lanes, Bunny and Zarini, were just dominating this fight. Like, yes, Simsaloo's the one getting the kills, but I mean, you need the space to be able to make those kills, and Bunny and Zarini both just looking absolutely phenomenal this game, I think. And the storyline we had at the start, what we talked about on that desk, was, I believe, the matchup between Evoli and Simsaloo.
We did.
And they're both performing well, but I think Simsaloo's star factor, clutch potential, is one of the biggest things making a difference in this.
Yeah, I mean, with less damage, you'd still argue that the Eevee is found more important confirms maybe even in this game. I mean, the good consistent damage from Evil Eye has been good, but cannot stay alive against Rakata. He's the first to go down in this fight. First to go down at the end of the last fight as well. Cuss Cutie gets onto the board. Gera does answer back. Make that 3 for 4 here, firing at 75%, and that's seemingly enough to turn this one around. The Dome Shield as well keeps them alive, keeps Kanga in this game just for a little bit longer. Zarini, a thorn in the side, is able to get back. 1 more, 2 more shots maybe from Joel's will do it. And Kanga have retaken the point. They have fast cap. They need a good zone here onto Pittsburgh to stay in this set.
The ult from Through Time and Space, the ult from Gera, the German says onto Cuss was so good because everyone on Knights was low. And if you notice, right after that ult, immediately 2 players go down because they were sitting there on 1 HP just waiting for Cuss to pick them up. Dragon Punch coming in, he couldn't get it off before, gonna go right for Bunny, does not have the shout to get through that. Spit not able to find the confirm onto Rakata. Seismic Crash coming in actually to get that going. Even through the Assert Dominance, 2 picks are going Knights' way.
Yeah, Rakata has to back off, but he's still alive. Keep that in mind. Overtime is going to expire for Kanga, but the time is starting to tick up in favor of Pittsburgh Knights here. Gera, yet again, finding a kill. That might be the saving grace for Kanga. Through the beam goes Simsaloo. Up and over goes Os Rhino. Into the overpower, Zarini is going to be the one to confirm that kill. Overtime ticking away. Pittsburgh Knights are going to do it. They're going to win the set with no contest from Kanga. And what a set it was.
Wow. That end fight was so good for the Knights. I mean, the appeal that they had for Rakata backing up, it forced Gera to go all the way over there to stop him. And they just kept trading picks. Like, Gera had to back up so far. Rakata positioned so well. Simsaloo peeling for him so well. The Kanga looks...
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely look a little deflated after that. But Knights, I mean, I don't think you can argue how well they played that set.
I mean, you lose a 7-game set and are also 0-3 to start off the second split. I mean, it's worst case scenario here for Kanga. Back to the drawing board, I think. I mean, it's a long set. It's a fun set. There were some bright spots, things to look at. If you're Kanga, that maybe you're happy about. Lots to look at that you wouldn't be so happy about. And the Knights, after a tough loss yesterday, able to bounce back. Ricotta comes back into the team here today and gets the Knights another win.
I mean, I just realized they lost 2 7-game sets to the 7th and 8th seeded teams.
Yeah.
That's got to be, I mean, like, statistically, you're thinking like, oh, we're gonna go 2-1. We're playing 7th and 8th seed. We're better than
last
them.
set that would have been the case.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Like if
or
you
last season, last split.
Yeah, last split. I mean, the results carry over, but
right.
You look at that and then you lose 2 close games. Not even like you got destroyed. Like, wow, that team got better, but you're like, what are we missing?
Yeah.
What are we missing out on that made us win before and just not now?
Well, this was a battle of the 6th and 7th seed, I believe, is the way all that tumbles out. We're going to chat with the winners here in a little bit, but first, let's send it back to the desk.
What a commanding game from PK from the Pittsburgh Knights. So well done overall. They did such an efficient job in Zerini, man. Yes. Zerini, dude.
Before we jump into Zerini, the one thing I want to note is, like, based on what Kresnik was saying, right, when it's like, okay, you've lost 7-game set against the Renegades, a 7-game set now against the Knights. Just to, I guess, rub salt in the wound as it is right now, in all 3 of the sets they played against Renegades, Knights, and Envy, Kanga have picked Stone Keep and have lost Stone Keep. So it is one of those maps that they keep going back to, and it keeps failing them every single time.
Yeah, that's so unfortunate for Kanga. Looking at the Knights score, though, I mean, 53,000 damage coming up from Sisalu, 57,000 from Ricotta. And once again, it's not always the case that you look at the damage, you look at these numbers right here, and you're like, oh, well, they didn't have that much of an impact. That's not what that means at all. That means that they just are working together super well. It's evenly split among everybody right now.
I mean, it was a fast game. There's not time to rack up numbers. And, I mean, if you're looking at it, 2 and 4 is maybe the worst slash line there on the team. It's 6-4, 6-3, 10-7, and then Zerini at the 10-4 and 12. Like, this Inara was 6-0 and 2 during the first round. I mean, like, Zerini was making some ridiculous plays that were impacting the game very early on, and it's one of those things, like, if the off tank is not necessarily getting kills but is just kind of controlling the zone where G-Bunny was, maybe you open the door for Zerini to step up and have this kind of performance. I mean, this was a ridiculous Inara.
Yeah, the seismic crack. Yeah, this is what I wanted to see. Look at this slow-mo. My goodness, he throws it out nice. Evil Eye right out of the sky. They did so well. He played so well this game. Like,
and that's one of those ults where it's like you don't lose if it doesn't connect.
Right.
But you don't win if it doesn't connect, right? Like you don't guarantee yourself being able to start rolling forward. And so it was those moments where I think Zerini came in clutch for that game, where it's just the control on Stone Keep from this Inara was top notch.
Yeah, he played such a strong frontline role. The Inara was such a presence to be worried about from Kanga's side, and when they left it unchecked, all they really did was they just completely popped off.
Yeah, and it's incredible to see what they've been able to do. I'm, again, still really loving the new Knights roster, and I'm excited to see how they keep growing.
Yeah, well, before we close this out, we're going to go straight to an interview with G-Bunny and Cuss.
So I'm going to start it off kind of light and easy. Of all the roles you've played over the last 2 days, a little support today, damage yesterday, frontline yesterday as well, which was your favorite?
Probably playing Khan, because I have a better Khan alt ratio than Bunny, and he's our alt. So
that's for real. It was the Lex from.
So in the middle of that set, Kanga kind of adapted, trying to pull Ricotta off that Leon with their bans to him, kind of targeting that. What was your response like in the draft, would you say? How did you guys choose to adapt to that adaptation from Kanga?
I think throughout the set, we started to like prioritize more of like the DD role. We usually don't have a heavy prio on it, but right away, Kanga like throughout the Cassie Leanne ban on the first map, and we're like just heavy prioing the Cassie a lot more than what other teams do. So we thought if we take away the Cassie, they're going to be a lot weaker, out of their comfort zone more.
And sort of on the back of adapting, yesterday was a tough day as far as, you know, map picks for you guys. It's a 4-1 set against Navi, but today you win all. Maybe you guys swapped early on with Kanga, but down the stretch you win all of the maps that you ended up picking. games 3 through 7. Was there any reprioritization of maps coming from yesterday into today, or just more of the same from you guys?
I don't think there was any kind of like certain map prioritizations, and when teams win on their own map, that's great, but any team can take any map against anyone. It doesn't map pick's not as important, I feel like, as it used to be. But I don't know. We just had a really slow start. It was an awful start.
Yeah.
And we were still able to hang in there, so we knew if we could play our game, it was over. So.
Gotcha. Well, congrats, guys. Back in the win column here today, wrapping up this week of PPL with a big win. But before we round out the day, let's send it back to the desk and see where the standings are.
Congratulations to the Pittsburgh Knights for actually clutching this win out, making it 4-3, making it a close set overall.
Yeah.
Just really well played.
I think it's good for Kanga, honestly, in this position. That it's unfortunate, again, that they're losing these sets, but it's good that they're keeping it going 7 games, right? Like, I mean, if you know, not to throw Na'Vi under the bus, but you lose to Renegades 4-2, all of a sudden people are thinking maybe, man, what do you have to offer? With Na'Vi losing 4-2 and Kanga losing 4-3, it's just showcasing that any team at this point, like, they are neck and neck.
Yeah.
There's still a couple that tend to eke out their wins a little more often. Na'Vi, NIP, Envy tend to be the more winning teams, which is why they're going to be the top 3. But you're looking at the Knights putting themselves into a contestant, like they're a name that everyone needs to know in the Premier League, and they're a team you have to be prepared to fight. The same thing goes for the Renegades. So 7 and 8 are no longer like, oh, well, we can just ignore them. They are going to factor in for your Worlds run. They're going to factor in for everything.
Exactly. All teams have pretty much been showing themselves out. They're all willing to play. They all want to land that free spot at Worlds. Here's the schedule for yesterday and today. Pittsburgh Knights lost 1-4 to Na'Vi, but when Ricardo turned, they did manage to take it in a very, very close set against Kanga, 4-3 today.
And honestly, I think yesterday it goes a lot closer if Ricardo was here.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that he wasn't able to be, but again, you're looking at this. You know, the Knights are able to climb a little bit in the standings if they, keep winning out. They need to start turning it away, I think, from 4-3s to 4-1s if they want to climb further. But you're looking at them and Renegades playing kind of upset up top. 31-23, 14-10. Like, there are some numbers up there that are close enough that you can really play upset for the first through 4 seeds, and at least terms of where they end up at the end of the split.
Yeah, it can be so close. It's still anyone's game. There's still plenty of Paladins Premier League to actually have these teams, these bottom teams, like whether they be PK, whether they be Pittsburgh Knights, whether they be Renegades, just all of a sudden start slowly climbing their way up, and they're showing that they have. They're showing that they have some skill, like some really, really hard skill. Yeah,
it's going to be exciting to see them as they continue running. I mean, the entire set and the entire teams that keep coming in and playing is going to be good. Of course, the Knights, I think, being the only team, or not the only team, but one of the few teams that has had to play week 1 and 2. They get next week off as we get some of these returning phases. I'm excited to see Virtus Pro come back, NIP come back, and Renegades as well.
Yeah, VP versus Team Envy on Thursday. 2 games on Thursday. VP, Envy, Renegades, NIP. Day 2, Renegades, VP, and NIP versus Team Envy. I actually agree with you, Go. I'm really excited to see what Renegades has in store for next week.
And I think next week's a good heat check area for them just because of the teams that they're going up against. It's going to be another difficult week for them. I'm also interested to see Envy coming back because this is around the time last year where things really, really picked up for them. And so I want to see like if they are looking to make like another World Championship run, if it can start in week 3 here.
Thanks so much, everybody, for watching the Paladins Premier League. It's been me, Fawn. We'll get here with my good friend, Gormizer. Thank you guys watching. We thank you guys for watching so much. Paladins Console League is on Monday, so be sure to tune in at that time, at the proper time, which I believe is 11 a.m. Yeah, same as usual. You can tune in at 11 a.m. You can check us out on this channel. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all later.
The Paladins Premier League is brought to you by Evil Mojo, developers of Paladins.